Hey there, my darlings! How are you? I hope that you are doing amazing. It's DarlingDTarot bringing you another pick a card reading. So for today, we are going to be getting right into this and asking the question, what are people's first impression of you when they meet you? So we have 4 beautiful piles here in front of us. Stack 1, stack 2, stack 3, and stack 4. Now you can choose based off of the energy of the pile, the number of the pile, or the items associated with each stack. Today we are also going to be incorporating color cards as well, so you can choose based off of the color cards. But going forward, you can choose just 1, you can choose 2, you can choose all 4. Whatever you feel drawn towards, that's what's going to be your pile. Also, make sure to take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. So not only are we going to be covering what people's first impressions of you are, but how they would describe you to other people about this first impression as well. We're also going to be drawing up some charms at the end of each reading, so make sure to stick around for that. But going forward, without any further ado, let's get into the items associated with each pile. So for stack 1, we have this beautiful flower hair clip. Sorry if you hear my dogs barking in the background. For stack 2, we have this beautiful bow pin. For stack 3, we have this beautiful steampunk butterfly. It's like a necklace pendant. And for stack 4, we have this beautiful cameo pendant. So I will give you a few seconds to choose, but first let's take a deep breath in. Let's hold it. And release. And with that, I will give you a few moments to choose your pile, and I will see you at your stack. Bye for now. Hello to everyone who picked stack 1. Let's get right into your reading and see what are people's first impressions of you when they meet you. So right off the bat, I want to preface this reading by saying that these are just going to be how people perceive you when you are first meeting them, or when you're walking down the street and you pass someone, what they're going to think that you're like. So you don't have to actually embody any of these characteristics, qualities, and traits. This is just how people envision you and how they imagine that you are as well, without fully knowing you, right? So going forward, this is just going to be how you hold yourself to the outside world. So without any further ado, let's just dive right into this reading. So I love the fact that you chose the flower hair clip. I feel like you're someone who's very expressive with your hair. I feel like you love to do it in different ways. Maybe you have hair extensions, maybe you love to do braids, maybe you have clip-on bangs, maybe there's this energy of wearing wigs as well, because maybe you like to shave your hair and then kind of put wigs on, so then that way you can change it up but you don't have to damage your natural hair. I'm all about it. Oh my goodness, I used to do that as a teenager. But going forward, I also feel like there's this energy of you just being very beautiful on the inside and the outside. People see you as someone who smells good, who looks good. You always look like $1,000,000. You always look incredibly well put together. I keep hearing that you might even iron your clothes, or maybe you like to go to the dry cleaners. There's just this energy of really cleaning up nice, right? But going forward, you might also have a lot of really expensive clothing, or maybe that's just kind of the appearance that you have. Maybe you have really expensive handbags, or a really expensive wallet, or shoes, or maybe you have leather high heels. I don't know. There's just this energy of you just really looking very fancy, very proper, very svelte as well, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's just almost as if everything that you have is very fitted to your body. So even the t-shirts that you wear, I feel like they're in a specific cut to where it really flatters your figure and it really flatters your body shape. Now going forward, I also feel like you're someone who is very transparent and very honest, and that's something that people really find attractive about you when they first meet you. They love the fact that you're a little bit blunt and the fact that you are very outspoken. For some of you guys, you might also want to be working in the judicial system. Maybe you want to be a judge, a lawyer, maybe you want to be a politician. I definitely feel like that's something you could do. Maybe growing up, you were on debate class. I just feel like there's this energy of you loving to have active discussions with people. But I don't feel like you're abrasive, right? I feel like you're very sweet about it. I feel like it's all about the delivery. I feel like you deliver your lines very perfectly, or, you know, you deliver your words very kindly and very sweetly as well. And that's what really pulls people in and makes them feel comfortable about having these very deep discussions with you. It's almost as if you lure them out of their cave, right? But going forward, I also feel like people can really see you as someone, again, who's very forthcoming and honest, someone that they would want to have as their friend. This is actually the clearest of all of the clear quartz that we have as the options. So I just wanted to put that out there, that you're someone who is incredibly truthful and someone who is always very honest. Even if it might kind of hurt another person's feelings, I feel like you just find a better way to phrase it. And that's something that people kind of might pin you as, is that you're that friend who would say, hey, Sarah, you don't look really good in that dress, but you know what dress you would look good in? And then you'd offer an alternative, right? So it's almost as if you offer constructive criticism, and that's very attractive for a lot of you guys as well. I'm picking up on the fact that you might be maybe even trans, because these colors here remind me of the trans pride flag, you know, with the pinks and the purple and the white and the blue. But I also feel like maybe you could be bisexual as well, because these also are the same colors for the bisexual flag. Whoop whoop. But going forward, I just wanted to say that maybe you are someone who is in the LGBTQ plus community, but I also feel like you're someone who is just very, very like well put together. You have a very good head on your shoulders, incredibly intelligent. Oh my goodness. Spirit keeps showing me Legally Blonde too. So, you know, Elle Woods was someone who was very fashionable and someone who would wear all pink, but then at the same time, she would go towards these very serious subject matter, or this very serious degree in law and studies in as being a lawyer. And I feel like that's kind of you guys' energy as well, is that maybe you do a very serious job, and when people really get to know you, they're just sort of like, whoa, you do that? Like, maybe some of you guys want to be like a coroner, or you want to be like a funeral home director, and people are just sort of like, wait, you do what? You know? But I feel like it's almost like it comes out of left field. Maybe some of you guys are also like mathematicians or scientists, or you want to work with NASA. I don't know. There's just a big thing of intelligent people in this pile. I feel like those of you that pick this pile and that pick this stack, you're bookworms, or that's how people perceive you. They just perceive you as someone who's incredibly smart and very, very well educated. So going forward onto your first card, this is your Witch's Familiar card, and this is talking all about if people could sum you up into one rune card on what their first impression of you was, what would it be? So we have Canaz. Okay, so Canaz is an amazing card. Again, it talks about someone who's incredibly studious, someone who is very intelligent. You take your intellectual endeavors very seriously, and I feel like that's something that people might notice right off the bat when they first meet you, or if they walked past you on the street. It could also be that you're someone who maybe has your nose buried in a book. Maybe you're someone who loves reading, or maybe that's how they view you. Maybe you're someone who is really focused on your college studies as well, so you're constantly carrying around a textbook with you, or maybe you're studying on like the local bus system, or there's just this energy of people always seeing you achieving your goals and reading and studying and, you know, really focusing on your intellect. Now, there's also this energy of you being someone who's very scheduled and someone who's very good at planning as well. And I feel like that's something that people kind of pick up on, is that you look so well put together that the rest of your life might be really, really well put together as well, very well scheduled. They might see you as the type of person who has like a labeler in your house as well. Maybe you like to label everything. Again, this doesn't have to be how you actually are, but I feel like that's how people see you. Just very, everything has its place, right? That sort of a vibe. Now, also people see you as someone who's incredibly intuitive, very spiritual, very close with the divine, someone who receives a lot of kind of spiritual hints on where to go as well. It could be that you wear a lot of sort of witchy kind of clothing or bohemian kind of clothing from time to time as well. I also feel like there's this energy with Canaz that you're someone who always pushes yourself to the next level, and that's something that people can really pick up on when they first meet you as well. I feel like you're also someone who might use very big words, and it kind of stuns people, because in this day and age, I feel like we talk in a way that is very shortened or very simplified compared to, let's say, Victorian era, where it was all like, yes, yes, very well, good day, sir. And I feel like maybe you hold yourself in that more proper of a regard, or maybe you talk like you're from like the 1950s, yeah, very proper and very prim, you know, like that sort of an energy. But they also see you as someone who's incredibly passionate, someone who is getting up every day to put their best foot forward, and how awesome is that? They also see you as someone who is a really good lie detector, someone who, as soon as someone isn't telling the truth, or as soon as someone is trying to exaggerate, you're going to pick up on it. And I feel like it kind of intimidates people. I feel like some people can be a little bit scared by you. I also feel like for others of you, maybe you have a little bit of resting rude face, I guess would be the best way to put it. I just feel like there's this energy of you really just looking very serious or looking very stern. So maybe you have Aries or Capricorn in your chart. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe you have a Capricorn rising. I have a lot of kind of Earth in my chart as well, so I definitely feel that. But it could be that maybe you're having like the time of your life and you still look very serious, or you look very stern, or you look very to the point, and people are very intimidated by that. It could be that you're just like, let's get down to business, right? You know, you're very business oriented. I feel like you're very good with your money too, or that's the impression that you give off to other people, is that you are very good with finances. So going forward onto your next card, this is going to be your Druid Oracle Animal card. And this is going to be talking all about the first impression that you give off to people. So we have Bull. Okay. So again, maybe you have some Taurus in your chart. So again, that Earth vibe here. Someone who's very sturdy, someone who's very stable, very secure in themselves, very comfortable in their own skin, but also someone who's very dedicated and very determined. Someone who can be a little bit stubborn or a little bit of a force to reckon with as well. I keep hearing, honey, you've got a big storm coming. So I feel like maybe if someone tried you as well, you would just like turn into that, where you're just sort of like, no, I don't think so. I think you have a big storm coming, honey. But I also feel like you're someone who doesn't have time for the drama. I feel like you're someone who doesn't have time for, you know, other people's shenanigans as well, especially with these cranes kind of being shooed off. I feel like that's your energy. I feel like you're just sort of like, come correct or don't be in my life at all. And maybe that's why people feel a little bit intimidated, is because you're really sticking up for yourself. I really feel like you're standing in your divine masculine energy as well, regardless of gender. You're staying very firm, very focused, and very detail oriented. I feel like you're staying in your logical side as well. Both Bull and Kanaz very much reminds us of that logical side, very left brain oriented as well, where you're thinking very analytically. It could also be that maybe you overanalyze things, especially since I see down here it almost looks like a looking glass or a magnifying glass. So I feel like you're someone who likes to look at all the fine details. You're very meticulous. I feel like you're someone who also takes your time in things. You really love to really bask in the present moment as well. I feel like you're someone, again, with that energy of being very grounded. You see the present as a gift. I also feel like you're someone who maybe people would see you as someone who's a good time to go drinking with too, because we do have a drinking horn down here, and it immediately made me think that people see you on the street and they're like, wow, I'd like to have a drink with them. I'd like to go partying with them. And I feel like that's something that would make you laugh. Like people would honestly, if they could, just go up to you and be like, hey, could we just hang out sometime? You seem like you would be a really like fun person to hang out with. Like it could even be that you have this kind of aura of being really cool, or almost as if you're a lot higher above everyone else around you, and that's something that also intimidates people a little bit too. And it's not to say that you do that knowingly or willingly, but I feel like there's just this energy of you knowing your worth and not settling for less, and that's something that is both very attractive to people when they first meet you, and also very scary, because it's almost as if people know that they have to come towards you with respect, with courtesy, and with honor as well. And some people, I feel like, maybe they're too in their pride to be able to do that. But again, you're really focusing on your success. You're focusing on your abundance. It almost reminds me of Follow the Yellow Brick Road. So it's almost like you're on the fast track to success, and you'll do whatever it takes to get there. You know, you're someone who is willing to bulldoze the way forward for yourself and really be able to just keep pushing forward. So going on to your next two cards, really quick, I just want to talk about the fact that you're very resilient as well. Again, I feel like you just keep persisting. I feel like you know how to go the distance. So these are going to be your animal language cards, and these are talking more about characteristics, qualities, and traits that might be picked up on when you first meet someone. So we have number 43, red squirrel, and number 20, eagle. Okay, so right off the bat, the number 43 would be the number 7, and with the number 7, it talks about someone who is incredibly unique. I see this as the indigo child kind of number, if you will, as someone who likes to do things a little bit against the grain, but they're a natural born leader. They're someone who is naturally born into that authoritative position, someone who knows how to lead the crowd, someone who wasn't meant to be put into a cookie cutter or wasn't meant to fit in with the rest of society, someone who is meant to always do things a little bit against the grain, right? But I also feel like everything you do has such a big purpose behind it as well, or that's how people perceive you, is that everything that you do has been thought upon or has really been ruminated on as well. People see you as someone who's incredibly reflective and someone who's very diligent. It's almost like you do your due diligence as well in order to make a decision for yourself. But people really do see you as someone who has a really good head on your shoulders and that you can make these kind of hard decisions as well. You know how to take care of the nitty gritty when it gets down to it. But also with red squirrel, you're also someone who's very resourceful. Do you see how he's holding an acorn in this picture? It talks about how during the hibernation months, when they go to bury their acorns and their stashes, sometimes they can forget where they buried the acorn, which in turn results in a beautiful oak tree growing in its place. And I feel like that's the same energy that we have here, is that when you really plant the seeds of intention, when you really apply yourself to something, it does incredible. It's almost as if you have the Midas touch. And maybe that's kind of the first impression that you give off to people, is that you're just so brilliant in everything that you do and that everything that you do is successful as well. And it's almost as if people want to have your brilliance when it comes to business, when it comes to maybe even relationships as well. But people just want to be able to be on your level. It's almost, again, as if you're really high above everyone else. She's so high above me. She's so lovely. Like Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, and Aphrodite. And these were all incredibly intelligent women. These were all very well-to-do women as well. Cleopatra, she could speak 9 languages. So for maybe some of you guys, you're bilingual, or that's kind of the appearance that you come off as. So again, I feel like you're someone who is very resourceful and someone who really knows how to work with your intelligence and work with what you have too. But with red squirrel, it says resourcefulness, vigilance, preparation, and busyness. Yes, you love to keep yourself busy. You're always on the go. You're always doing something else. It's almost as if you're the Energizer Bunny and you just keep going and going and going. And people are a little bit like, where do you get all this energy from? How are you able to do this? And maybe you're like, it's iced coffee. It's iced coffee and Red Bull this whole time. You caught me. But I definitely feel like there's this energy of you being someone who's very vigilant about going towards your goals and aspirations and really achieving them. You are someone who's very prepared always. I feel like maybe you're the type of person who always has like snacks in the car or water, or maybe you always have like blankets in the car as well. So then that way, like if you break down somewhere, you at least know that you'll be able to just camp out until help arrives. Like you're that sort of a resourceful, right? You're the type of person that people would want on their zombie apocalypse team too. You're just incredibly knowledgeable. You might be the type of person who that no matter what, you'll be taken care of, because maybe you like watching those like survivalist shows as well, where it's like man versus wilderness or something. But going forward with the number 20, this would be the number 2, again talking about balance, talking about equilibrium and equality. I feel like you definitely live by the idea of treat others the way that you want to be treated personally, and that's something that people pick up on when they first meet you. They also see you again as someone who is very balanced between their divine masculine and their divine feminine traits, someone who's very fluid between them, but also someone who has a very stable footing in life. I just feel like you're incredibly grounded and you know what it is that you want and you're not going to back down from it. Now we also have eagle, vision, freedom, authority, and inspiration. So you're very inspired. I feel like you're an inspiration to others as well. I feel like your constant drive and your constant hunger for intelligence also makes other people hungry for knowledge as well. You're definitely someone who is in a position of authority. You might be a manager, a CEO, maybe you're your own boss, maybe you're an entrepreneur. But there's definitely this energy of you loving your freedom, or that's what it comes off as. Maybe people see you on the streets and they're like, yeah, they're their own boss. I keep hearing that song, you ain't afraid to be by yourself. Say you ain't afraid to be by yourself. So I feel like maybe there's this energy of you never feel afraid to be alone or to be by yourself. You really appreciate your solitude time. You really appreciate the time that you have alone as well. And how amazing is that? But going forward with vision too, I feel like there's this energy of you being able to see the whole picture, you being able to look at things with a broader perspective. You know, maybe you're someone who likes to comfort others that you just meet too, which is so interesting because, again, people find you to be someone who's a little bit stoic or a little bit standoffish or maybe even like reserved at first. But then when they really get to know you, or like maybe even after just sitting with you for like 5 minutes, maybe you're someone who's very comforting, you know, and someone who is very understanding. But again, do you see how it's kind of like he's eagle-eyed in this eagle picture? So I feel like that's your energy, is that when you have your mindset to something, you know, good luck trying to talk you out of it. There's also this energy, Spirit keeps showing me someone who has like ear pods in or AirPods, and they're listening to music, and someone keeps trying to talk to them, and you're just kind of like, ugh, and you take out your ear pod, and you're just sort of like, okay. And I feel like maybe that's the energy of some of you guys that picked this pile too. I just wanted to say that really quick before I moved on to your next few cards. So let's see some more characteristics, qualities, and traits that people first kind of assume that you might embody when they meet you. So first impressions, deception, undermining of confidence. Yeah, okay. So right off the bat, I feel like maybe some people see you as someone who has a little bit of a facade, or, you know, maybe you're someone who like goes so much forward towards your intellectual pursuits that it's almost as if you hide yourself away. And it's so funny because it's almost as if you use that as a coping mechanism, and maybe that's as a way to get to know people as well. Like maybe you kind of hold yourself back. Again, you're very reserved. I feel like you're someone who can just come off very stoic, and people don't necessarily know how to approach you. And it's not to say that you're unapproachable, but it's more to say that people don't know how to reach you. People don't know how to connect with you. People don't know how to associate themselves with you as well, right? But with undermining of confidence, I feel like a lot of people around you that come towards you, I feel like they themselves don't feel confident enough to talk to you, because you are someone who embodies confidence. You are someone who embodies this energy of, I know what it is that I want, and I'm not going to settle for less. So I feel like others, you know, I feel like they feel a little bit scared. Remember how I was saying earlier too that you're someone who is really good at picking up on when someone isn't being truthful? That's with deception here. So I feel like you're really good at telling when someone is lying or when someone is exaggerating. Now we also have master craftsmanships and diligence. Yes, so again, you do your due diligence. But you're definitely a master craftsman. I feel like maybe you're someone who loves to do wood whittling, or maybe you're someone who just likes to like roll up your sleeves and put in a little bit of elbow grease. You don't mind getting dirty for your goals. But we also have the past. Yeah, you love to ruminate though. I feel like you're someone who knows that everything that you've been through is for a reason. You know, and it's ultimately brought you to be the person that you are today. And maybe that's also something that people really find attractive about you, is, you know, that you're someone who has learned from the past. And I feel like you're someone who's incredibly mature. Maybe that's something that people would also notice immediately upon meeting you or walking by you, is that you're amazingly mature. For some of you guys, I feel like maybe you have a really short hairstyle, like almost like a pixie cut, or like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada. I don't know why that was shown to me. But we also have conflict behind the mask. So, you know, I like this. It's very fitting during COVID and during the pandemic, because we all have to wear masks. So maybe people see you as someone who's very beautiful in their mask. Maybe they see you as someone that they're like, whoa, I want to see what's under that mask, right? But I definitely feel like they see you as someone who maybe is hiding something under the surface. Maybe people see you as someone who's faking your confidence. And I don't want to say that in a rude way, because I feel like maybe that could be a little bit hurtful. But I feel like other people are so concerned that they themselves don't have this level of confidence, that they think to themselves, well, they must be faking it. No one can be that confident. No one can feel that good about themselves. And, you know, for some of you guys, I feel like it's half and half. I feel like for some of you guys, it's a fake it till you make it. And good, yeah, do it. You know, honestly, feel good about yourselves. And others of you, you're like, no, I am confident in myself. I know that I'm all that in a bag of chips. I know that I'm the whole buffet, right? And that's an amazing way to be. And I feel like people really pick up on that when they first meet you. So going forward onto your next 3 cards, these are your Animal Totem Tarot cards. And these are going to be talking about more first impressions that people might have when they first meet you. So this is going to be kind of summing you up. So we have the Sun card, the 8 of Pentacles, and the 8 of Swords. Wow, 2 8s. Again, very fast forward moving energy, someone who's very fast paced, but someone who's also very unconditionally loving at the same time, very driven, very vivacious, very warm, very understanding, but also very caring. You're someone who has a good sense of humor. For some of you guys, I'm hearing that you have a dry sense of humor, right? So it's almost as if you're very sarcastic or you're very sassy, and someone will say something and you'll be like, oh, great, and people will find that so funny. But also with the 8 of Pentacles, I feel like you're an incredibly hard worker. You're someone who knows how to dedicate yourself, and you know when to say to other people, hey, I'm studying right now, I can't deal with it. Again, kind of going back to the Legally Blonde musical in the song What You Want, there's a part where this reggae kind of singer and dancer is trying to lure Elle Woods out of her dorm room, away from studying to be able to come to this party. And Elle Woods instead is like, no, I can't do it. I'm studying. I'm going to get the love of my life. I'm going to get the career of my life. I'm going to literally accomplish all of my dreams and goals and aspirations. And there's nothing that anyone can do to stop or to distract me. And I feel like that's you guys' energies. I just feel like those of you that pick this pile, you just have an Elle Woods aura all around. You're so intelligent, but I also feel like from time to time, or maybe growing up, that was something that was doubted. Maybe you're someone who, with that energy of being so beautiful, that people kind of look at you and they take that at face value and they say, well, this person can't be more than just a pretty face, right? When in hindsight, you're someone who is much more than that. You're someone who is so intelligent and someone who has such a great mind. I just feel like you're someone who has such a great perspective just in general. But I also feel like with the 8 of Swords, you can be a little bit hard on yourself. Maybe that's why we have this deception and undermining of confidence, because I feel like at the same time, you can be your own worst enemy. I keep hearing, who needs friends like this? Who needs enemies when you have friends like this? And maybe that's the kind of energy that we have here with yourself, is that people can notice that you are very hard on yourself. So let's say that you go to college, right? And you sit next to someone like Peter. Let's say his name's Peter. And every day, you're looking at your test results, or you're like, oh my gosh, I should have done this, or this was my first instinct and I chose this, and blah blah blah, and you just kind of mutter under your breath. And I feel like Peter every day is just sort of like, wow, I wish that they wouldn't do this. I wish that Larissa wasn't very mean to herself whenever she did her tests. And I just feel like there's this energy of you being very hard on yourself, or maybe making yourself feel a little bit stuck. Also with the 8 of Swords, again, with that reserved energy, people find it very hard to approach you. People find it very hard to come towards you and start up a conversation. I feel like they feel a little bit insecure, a little bit scared. So going forward onto more information about how people perceive you when they first meet you, we have the 3 of Swords, the 9 of Spears in reverse, the 2 of Coins in reverse, the Page of Coins in reverse, and the 10 of Cups. Okay, beautiful. Wow, that did a complete 360, or 180 even. But going forward, we could tell that I wasn't the mathematician here. We have the 3 of Swords and the 9 of Spears. So definitely you have known your fair share of heartbreak. You've known your fair share of hardship as well, but you have matured from it each and every time. You have found the moral of the story, and that's something that people find very beautiful about you when they first kind of meet you, and when they first get to know you, is that, maybe for some of you guys as well, you have tattoos that talk about, maybe you have a ribbon for breast cancer, or maybe you have a ribbon for epilepsy or lupus, or maybe you just have some form of symbol on your body as well, like maybe you have a semicolon right here, right, for suicide awareness. So I just feel like there is this energy of, you really putting it out there, who it is that you are, but also in a way that is so clean and crisp and gorgeous, right? For some of you guys, and I feel like this is going to be very specific for one person, someone has a leg tattoo, and I feel like it kind of goes up your body, but it's all black and kind of lined, right? So I don't feel like there's any color in it. I just feel like it's all lined, and it's just all black line, right? And I feel like it's going to be like flowers and leaves and just really ornate, really pretty. I just feel like maybe peonies, but going forward, I feel like that's maybe something that people find very gorgeous about you as well, is that even your tattoos are so crisp and so sharp, I guess would be the best way to put it. But also with the Two of Coins in reverse, with the Page of Coins in reverse, you know what it's like to have to start from the bottom. I keep hearing started from the bottom and now we're here, right? So it hasn't always been the easiest road for you, but you are someone who is very resilient. You are someone who pushes forward. You are someone who is incredibly brilliant and resourceful. You know how to master different sides of yourself in order to propel yourself to that next kind of level. I feel like people would see you as someone who is constantly going through catalyst moments as well, or constantly going through moments of discovering what it is that they want. And also with the Ten of Chalices, they see you as someone who ideally would be that happily ever after, but again, people are a little bit nervous about having to approach you. It's almost as if they can see the potential of how beautiful it would be to settle down with you, or be your friend, or be in your community, but at the same time, they're like, I don't know if I would have anything to offer this person right now, right? You know, maybe that's kind of the energy that you come off as too, is sort of like, well, I have all of this figured out. If you have something that you'd like to add, you definitely can, but otherwise, just kind of leave me alone, science boy. I feel like people can feel a little bit intimidated from time to time. So let's go on to your Enchanted Tarot cards, and then we will pull some charms. So we have the Prince of Wands. This is going to be how people would describe you based on first impressions. So, you know, oh, wow, the 10 of Hearts again, 10 of Hearts. Oh, wow, that's incredible with the Empress. Wow. Okay, so you're very well-rounded. You're very much in your divine masculine and your divine feminine energies, especially divine feminine. Very beautiful, very nurturing, very compassionate and caring and understanding. Again, happily ever after. This is that Disney fairy tale ending that we all dream of, that we all want and all hope to achieve, and people see you as someone who is already there. Maybe people see you as someone who maybe already has a really wonderful relationship, or maybe you're someone who is engaged or married, or maybe people even see you as someone who is kind of like, how are you not kind of snatched up yet? How are you not married? How are you not settled down? How are you not living with someone? But I think it's because you're just enjoying your freedom. You're enjoying your singlehood. You're enjoying the time that you have by yourself. But again, I feel like you're very generous. I feel like people would say that you're very well put together and that you're very honest too. You're very forthcoming. So let's go on to your charms for stack 1. How would people describe their first impression of you, stack 1? What are people's first impressions? Sorry to headphone users, by the way. You can turn the volume down right now. Okay, first impressions of stack 1. We had these at the bottom, but I like to do tarot cards at the end. So right off the bat, I feel like you're someone who has very strong morals, very strong boundaries as well for yourself. So again, maybe people don't come forward because they're like, I wouldn't match their boundaries. You know, I know that I'm not healed enough for this individual. Some of you guys might really love eating healthy, love eating raw foods. Maybe you love smoothies or shakes. Maybe there's also this energy as well that you're a vegan or vegetarian, but I also feel like maybe some of you guys have like a pet rabbit or pet birds, or just kind of like pets that require fresh fruit and vegetables, so you work very hard for them. It could also be that maybe you have like a lot of memes online where you're like, I work very hard so my cat or my dog can have a nice life, right? But I also feel like maybe some of you guys can be from France, or maybe you have relatives that are from France. Maybe you have kind of a heritage going back to France, French lineage, or you know, maybe even you are someone who maybe even lives in like British Columbia. I also feel like maybe just Europe ties in general. Now we also have this Iron Man pin, so I feel like again you're someone who's very confident, very cocky. You know what it is that you want, and you're not going to settle for less. When we think about Tony Stark, we think about someone who was a little bit sarcastic, right? A little bit sassy, but also someone that people kind of love to hate and hate to love. So I feel like that's kind of you guys' energy. But also, Tony Stark was was also very, very sentimental and sensitive, but that wasn't something that he showed to everyone. And I feel like that's kind of your energy as well. You're definitely someone who has experienced a lot of different defining moments in your life and a lot of different catalyst moments. I feel like you're very connected with all of your chakras too. So there might be this energy of doing chakra cleanses or maybe even having a lot of singing bowls in your house. But I feel like you had to change things up because I feel like the one way that you were approaching things, maybe you kept reaching this kind of block or this dead end or kind of like this end of the road. And Spirit was like, you have to change something in order to get to that happily ever after. And I think that when you do, you finally will get there, right? Or that's how people just kind of assume, is that you have changed things up. Maybe people see you as someone who is starting to be a little bit more personable as well. So going forward with this money clip, I feel like you take money matters incredibly seriously. I feel like they're very important to you. We also have these little worry dolls here. So I feel like you're someone who, I feel like you're someone who's always there for the community. I feel like you're always there for your friends and family members as well, especially with the 10 of hearts showing up twice. I feel like community is incredibly important to those that pick this pile. But you're also someone who doesn't mind being a shoulder to cry on for those that you really love. Again, with the chakras, you're very aligned with your chakras. You're very connected with the divine and with the spiritual side of things. We also have this fish. So again, I feel like you go with the flow from time to time, but at the same time, you just keep swimming. It reminds me of shark energy, to where even when they're exhausted, they have to keep swimming because that's the only way they can get oxygen circulating through their gills. So maybe that's you guys' energy as well, is that you just keep pushing yourself and keep dedicating yourself. Now we also have the number 2, so that might be important. Some of you guys might have been born in February. Maybe you're literally in Aquarius. It could also be that maybe you were born on the 2nd day. Again, 2 talks about someone who's very balanced. We also have purr. So again, maybe you have a cat. Maybe you're someone who is very sensual, very attractive, very beautiful. Maybe even a Katy Perry fan as well. I feel like you smell really good too. I know I talked about that earlier with the flower, but this was off of my perfume, so I just feel like I should mention that too. You're someone who's very loving, but again, I feel like it takes a while to gain your trust because you are a little bit reserved, but you are someone who's a hopeless romantic, or that's how you appear to other people. I feel like other people might even look at you and think about, again, how you would be that perfect person, but I feel like they feel a little bit scared that maybe you'd be like, oh, thanks, a flower, thanks, pal. But we also have this really cute kind of cone seashell as well. So maybe you love the water. Maybe you grew up near the water. Maybe you grew up on the coast, near Florida, maybe near California, just somewhere near water as well. I just feel like there's this energy of being very connected with it. Also with the dolphin, you might have a dolphin spirit animal, but I feel like this is also saying how you're someone who's very joyous and someone who loves to go with the flow, who's very connected with their inner child as well. We also have your daily fiber. So I feel like you're someone who eats very good. Look, we have 2 dolphins. Oh, wow. So it could be that people literally see you as someone who is looking for your other half. You're looking for that happily ever after. You're looking for someone to settle down with. You're looking for somebody to love. I just keep hearing, can somebody find me somebody to love? But also we have this beautiful little leaf here. So people see you as someone who is stepping into a lot of good fortune and into a lot of good luck as well. But you're a little bit of a lone wolf. You're someone who likes to do things by yourself, but you have the key to your own happiness. You're someone who has discovered your own happiness too. Again, go for it. Someone who knows what it is that they want and nothing holds you back. You're very much in that Shawn Mendes energy of there's nothing holding me back. But we also have this quarter, but it was tails up. So I really do feel like you're someone who your luck is changing for the better. And it's really funny because I feel like you have a really strong intuition, or maybe that's what people pick up on immediately when they first meet you. I also feel like maybe, what is this? Homestead, is this Nebraska? Yeah, this is Nebraska. So maybe that's important for someone. Just wanted to point that out. I also feel like for others, you're just really good with your money management. Maybe you have like special money saving apps as well on your phone, and that's really beneficial someone helping you. But we also have this caged pearl. So I feel like for some of you guys, again, you're very reserved, you're a little bit stoic, you don't necessarily let everyone know what's going on in your mind, but at the same time, you're a rarity. I feel like you're someone who has also made beauty out of the really hard moments in life as well. If we were to think about what pearls are, in theory, it's basically just an infection that grew inside of the oyster or clam's mouth. And as it pushed around the sand or the dirt that became entrapped inside of their mouth, it formed into this beautiful little ball. And when people came around and saw it, they said, oh, wow, how gorgeous is that? That's just so phenomenal. But to the oyster, the clam, they thought to themselves, well, good riddance. That was the most painful thing I ever had to experience in my life. And I feel like that's also something that translates to you guys, is that some of the hardest moments or the hardest lessons in your life have also been the biggest learning opportunities and have been the biggest motivators to become more mature. Again, you light your own way. You're someone who follows your own intuition. And I love that we have the Hermit. So maybe some of you guys literally have Virgo placements. Again, lone wolf energy, lighting your own way, lighting the fire from underneath you. It kind of reminds me of this Canaz card as well, where it's kind of like lighting your own way and lighting kind of your reading material as well. Maybe some of you guys love studying at night or reading at night. But we also have the Knight of Pentacles and the Five of Wands. So again, there's this energy of kind of being in mental conflict with yourself or being very hard on yourself. So it's almost like other people don't have to be hard on you because you're already hard on yourself. And I feel like that's something that people immediately pick up on, like when they first meet you or when they walk past you. It could be that you're someone who is very detail oriented, like maybe when you're walking past windows or walking past mirrors, you're someone who has to check yourself and just immediately like get yourself back to looking presentable or like straighten your clothes. Just a very pressed energy, but again, very meticulous, very dedicated and determined. But I feel like other people, kind of looking at you would say, yeah, they're very well put together, but I also feel like they might be very hard on themselves, or I don't want to say self-conscious underneath it all, but I feel like people would say, underneath it all, you want to put your best foot forward and you want to appear kind of well put together. And I mean, hey, who doesn't, right? But going forward onto your last two cards, we have the Seven of Swords and the Two of Wands. You know when to lighten the load, you know what to focus on, and you know what to put your intention towards as well. I feel like when someone is lying, you know when that's happening, and I feel like you're just sort of like, yeah, okay, Gerald, and you keep going forward. You don't even pay it any mind, and that's something that people find very attractive about you when they first meet you or their first kind of impression about you. So yeah, they see you as someone who's very spiritual, someone who has a great intuition, but also someone who knows where to put their time and their effort and their energy. And how awesome is that? Amazingly good at time management as well. So definitely let me know what you thought of this in the comment stack one. Oh my goodness, how beautiful is this reading? So definitely leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Also, again, I really love you guys' comments so much. I love to lay in bed at night and just kind of scroll through and read them. So definitely make sure to comment if you enjoyed this and if it resonated. Also, make sure to hit subscribe if you have not already and press the little bell icon to be notified every time I upload a brand new reading. And I hope that I have the honor to see you in my next reading. Also, I will leave all of the links in the description box down below for my Etsy, for my website, for my Tumblr, for pretty much anything that I kind of have links to. But yeah, I hope that I have the privilege to see you in my next video. Bye, Stack One! Hello to everyone who picked Stack 2. Let's get right into your reading and see what are people's first impressions of you when they meet you. So right off the bat, I want to preface this reading by saying this doesn't have to be how you actually are, but this is how you are perceived by the outside world. And if there's someone that's just kind of meeting you for the first time or walking past you on the street, this is going to be their opinion of you. This is going to be what they think that you're like as well. So they might not necessarily know you, but this is just how they view you, right? So going forward, let's dive right into your reading. Right off the bat, I love the fact that you chose this big statement piece pin here with the sapphire in the middle. Some of you guys could be Virgos or born in the month of September, maybe even also a Libra. I just wanted to start that out, but going forward, I also feel like maybe you're someone who loves to be a little bit by yourself. You're a little bit of a lone wolf, but that doesn't stop you from being a good time either. I feel like you're someone who is very sociable. I feel like you're someone who is very personable as well. You love to get to know people. I feel like you could be sitting on an airplane or on a bus or in a taxi, and you would definitely start talking to the person next to you. You love to get to know new people, and that's something that makes others feel very warm and welcomed. And I feel like you're someone who's just incredibly inviting. You also wear a lot of bright and vivacious colors. You might have a lot of sequins inside of your wardrobe, or a lot of stripes, a lot of flannel. There's just this energy of really expressing yourself through your clothing. You might wear a lot of rainbow clothing as well. Maybe for some of you guys, you wear bandanas. I feel like you love to style your hair as well. Some days you might be wearing braids or buns, maybe even styling in a different way, such as straightening it or curling it or perming it. And I feel like that's something that people really pick up on, as well as that you're always very well put together. I feel like you love to wear very big, bold statement pieces, such as big, chunky necklaces or big, bold earrings as well. Maybe also big hair pieces or hats. Maybe you're someone who loves to leave the house with maybe even t-shirts that have bands on it, or movie quotes, or maybe even fandoms. I just feel like you're someone who loves to show what you personally enjoy on the outside. It could also be that maybe you wear baseball hats or snapbacks that have like anime logos, or maybe even K-pop band logos. I don't know. There's just this energy of you really repping the things that you love. And that also makes other people want to reach out to you and say, hey, I also like that thing too. People really see you as someone who's a little bit mysterious, though. Do we see how milky this clear quartz is? So I feel like people find you incredibly intriguing. They want to get to know more about you. They want to understand more. You might also have Scorpio placements just with all of this mysterious sort of a vibe going on here. But going forward, people also see you as someone who has a wonderful smile. I feel like you might have dimples, you might have freckles as well, but people find you very, very beautiful. Now, going forward, you might also be someone who is in the LGBTQ plus community, since we do have this rainbow here. Maybe you're someone who wears like a lanyard, and you love to have pins as well that talk about that. And people love the fact that you stand in your integrity, you stand in your truth, and you are very strong-willed. People find that incredibly attractive. So going forward onto your first card, this is your Witch's Familiar card, and this is talking about if we could sum up people's first impressions of you into one rune card, what would it be? So we have Gabo. Okay, so right off the bat, people see you, and their first impression of you is that you would be an incredible partner, you would be an incredible potentially mother or father. I just feel like you would be an incredible spouse, you'd be an incredible parent, you would be an amazing homemaker as well. People see you as someone who is very firm in their integrity and in their values, and that's something that is very attractive. I feel like people see you as the vision of beauty as well. When I see Gabo, I think of someone who is absolutely gorgeous. I think of someone who would be an amazing confidant, an amazing friend, someone who is an incredible shoulder to cry on as well. I feel like people see you as someone who's very dependable, or someone that you could rely on, almost as if you are a long-lost childhood friend. And maybe that's kind of the vibe that you give off, is that you're very warm and open with people, so everyone wants to be your friend, or everyone wants to get to know you as well. Again, maybe Libra vibes that we have going on here. For others of you, I feel like maybe you love to wear very expressive makeup as well. Maybe some of you guys want to be makeup artists going forward, and that very much shows on your face. Maybe some of you guys are tattoo artists and you have a bunch of tattoos, and I feel like that's something that people really admire right off the bat too. They find that very beautiful about you, but they definitely do see you as someone who's very compassionate, nurturing, and very open. People really love that about you, but they also see you as someone who's incredibly strong-willed and very independent, someone who can take care of themselves, someone who can stand on their own 2 feet and look very graceful while doing so. When we see the swan, we think of someone who is just absolutely beautiful, someone who doesn't break a sweat even when doing incredibly hard things. And I feel like that's the overall vibe that people pick up on when they first kind of get to know you. I also feel like you love to close out kind of cycles, or close out old chapters and go into brand new things. Like maybe people see you as someone who always buys brand new clothes, and you don't have to, but I feel like that's how people kind of perceive you, is that you're kind of like out with the old and in with the new. Maybe you're someone who loves to keep your clothes in really good condition too, so people just assume that they're brand new, but maybe it's something that you've held on to since like kindergarten. I don't know. But going forward onto your next card, this is your Animal Druid Oracle card, and this is talking all about, again, what people's first impressions of you are. So we have Ram. Okay, so this could also be talking about Aries as well. You might have some Aries placements. So again, very headstrong, very strong-willed, very determined and dedicated. I also feel like you're someone who is a protector. If we notice, this ram right here is protecting this mother and child and this other little baby in the background. So I feel like you're someone who is perceived as a family man or woman, someone who loves to take care of the home life. Again, you just be an incredible homemaker. Maybe you're someone who would be really good at interior design as well, or just design in general. Maybe you're someone who could be a graphic designer, and that's something that people find very attractive. Maybe people find you to be someone who is very influential, like you could be an influencer yourself. Maybe you're someone who dresses so nice people perceive you to be a model, or someone who has a big social media following as well. But I definitely feel like whatever you put your head to is what you're going to accomplish, and that's what people immediately pick up on. But again, going back to the fact that you're very strong-willed and the fact that you know exactly what it is that you want. But also with Ram, I want to say that you're very balanced, or that's how people perceive you to be. They see you as someone who's incredibly graceful. They see you as someone who might even be really good at dancing, to be completely honest. But going forward onto your next two cards, these are your animal language cards, and these are talking about more characteristics, qualities, and traits people assume that you might be embodying upon meeting you. So we have number 40, orangutan, and we also have number 38, giant panda. Beautiful. So I love that we have two cards that are literally embodying that mother or father type energy, that protector, that nurturer. So again, I feel like you're someone who's very compassionate, you're very understanding and very loving, and that's something that other people really love about you as well. I feel like other people want you to baby them. They want you to take care of them. It's almost as if upon first meeting you, people think that you have a very calming voice, that you have a very calming aura as well. It could even be some of you guys are very healing in general. Maybe you're supposed to be going towards a path of Reiki or healing people, maybe even being a spiritual advisor yourself. But going forward, again, people definitely see you as incredibly balanced with the number 4 here. They see you as someone who's very stable, very dependable, someone who is always on time as well. Maybe you're someone who's a little bit early, not gonna lie. You're an incredible planner too. People really love the fact that you're incredibly studious, you're very intelligent, very knowledgeable, but you're also someone who goes with the flow. You're someone who has a good time. People might always see you with a smile as well. It's almost as if once your feet leave the house, you just have a smile on your face, and people love that about you, that you're always smiling, you're always grinning, you always have a really good attitude and an amazing disposition on life. But going forward, I also feel like you don't take things too seriously, especially with laughter, curiosity, patience, and play. I feel like you're incredibly playful. I feel like you know what it is to be in touch with your inner child as well, to nurture that side of you. So it could be people perceive you as someone who's incredibly imaginative as well. Maybe you yourself are an artist, and maybe that's something that translates into the way that you carry yourself too. For some of you guys, I feel like when you walk, it's almost like you have like a swagger to your walk, and people really find that really neat, the fact that you're so confident in yourself. But also you're very patient. I feel like you take your time with people, especially when you first get to know them. I feel like you're someone who would, if maybe someone dropped something in the middle of an aisle, you would pick it up for them and you would hand it to them and be like, here you go. And I feel like that's something that people really appreciate about you as well, is that you're incredibly helpful. I also feel like you're someone who will smile for no reason. You'll just look at someone and just shoot them a smile, and sometimes people will be like, is there something wrong with me? Like, what happened? So maybe from time to time you'll notice that you're kind of being glared at, because maybe people just assume that you're making fun of them or that you're being rude. But I honestly feel like you're just being very polite and you're being very kind and you want to smile at people. But again, I feel like you're incredibly curious. You're someone who loves to learn. You're very, very hungry in regards to knowledge, and that's something that people really appreciate about you. But again, you're very, very playful, and I feel like you know how to make other people laugh, especially when you first meet them. Now, we also have the number 38. So this would be master number 11, which would also equate to the number 2, again, talking about balance, equilibrium, gracefulness, talking about how you're someone who is very stable, someone who's very dependable. I know I keep talking about being dependable, but I feel like that's what people's overall vibe of you is that you bring a lot of positivity into everyone's lives, and, every person's lives that you touch, I feel like you always leave a little bit of kindness everywhere that you go, right? But going on to giant giant panda. I was gonna say gentle panda, and I feel like that's kind of your energy, is that maybe you're a gentle giant. Some of you guys, maybe you're a little bit tall, but we do have gentleness, harmony, balance, and innocence. So again, you're very innocent. You're very kind of connected with your inner child as well. For some of you guys, I feel like there's this almost childlike energy of you, and people find that very endearing and very sweet. But also, I feel like you're someone who is at harmony with yourself. I feel like you're someone who is at harmony with your mind, your body, and your spirit. So you're able to make really good decisions for yourself, right? But again, very, very balanced. So going forward, I also feel like people see you as a community type of a person, someone who loves your community, someone who loves your family as well. It could also be that some of you guys get a little bbit choked up on your words or stumble or trip over your words a little bit from time to time. And that's another thing people find very endearing. And, I feel like they kind of like it. I feel like people really, find that very adorable. I also want to really quick touch on the fact that we have so much yellow and orange in the background in both of these cards. So I feel like people, again, see you as someone who's incredibly bright and giddy and excitable and, maybe even a little bit of an adventurer, right? So going on to your next few cards, we have love, fertility, and sexuality. So again, maybe you're someone who is very sensual, or you just have this kind of swagger to your walk as well. Do you see how Freya is just sort of like striding forward? And I feel like that's your energy, is that you hold your head up high and you just kind of like sashay away, right? But with love and fertility, there's definitely this energy of you bringing a lot of love to everything that you do. Again, another full moon. Look at that full moon imagery. So again, Cancerian vibes. It could also be that you're very much in a balance with your divine masculine and your divine feminine sides. We have 2 cards that are embodying divine masculine, and then 2 cards for divine feminine. So I really feel like you're incredibly balanced between both kind of extremes, if you will. So again, you can switch from being a protector into a nurturer just like that. But you could also be someone who is very witchy, or that's something that you kind of put out there. Maybe you wear those kind of big floppy hats as well, and dark sunglasses. So again, a very mysterious vibe, but you're very, very sensual in the way that you hold yourself. Now we also have Odin. Now this is talking all about wisdom, poetry, language, the fact that you're someone who is very intuitive as well. I feel like you're someone, again, who is an incredible decision maker. You're someone who is very knowledgeable, very smart, very logical at the same time. But again, you can switch from divine feminine into divine masculine energy. I also feel like you're someone who shouldn't be messed with. Again, that kind of goes back into the ram as well. Is that, yeah, you are someone who can take care of yourself, and you're someone who has a very good mind and a good head on your shoulders, but at the same time, you're not to be messed with, and you will stand up for yourself. You know what it is that you want going forward. Oh, and you're very closely connected to spirit. Notice how we have Odin's crow over here, one of his crows, and then we also have this little bird over here next to the ram. So I feel like you're very in touch with spirit. I feel like you have a lot of messages that you receive through signs and synchronicities, and that's also something that people kind of pick up on immediately, is the fact that you are someone who's very connected to the universe. Now we also have Ymir. It says creativity, novelty, and the artistic struggle. So again, you could be incredibly creative, you could be an artist, you could be someone who is incredibly talented as well. Maybe you love to do DIYs, and maybe you just kind of love to wear your DIYs out in public too, and that's something that people really love. Maybe you get a lot of compliments on them. For others of you, I feel like you have prescription glasses that are like shaped a beautiful way. Maybe they're shaped like clouds or hearts, and that's something that people find very beautiful. But again, there's kind of this novelty about you, that you're one of a kind and you're one of a million, and most people won't be able to find you anywhere else that they go. I also feel like maybe some of you guys are anime fans. I know that I talked about this already, but I just wanted to throw that out there again. Naruto or Attack on Titan. But we also have peace and counsel again. So I definitely feel like you're someone who's incredibly peaceful, very compassionate, very understanding. You're an amazing confidant, an incredible partner. But I also feel like you're someone who could potentially be working in the Reiki field, someone who has a very healing touch. I feel like you could go up to someone when they have a headache and put your hand on their head and they would immediately feel better, right? But you have a very peaceful aura about you. I wouldn't be surprised if your aura consists of really light greens, maybe even an olive green. You're very grounded. But at the same time, at the other aspect of it, you have that very driven side where you're very fiery and very passionate. And people just really love that duality about you. So going on to your next three cards, these are your Animal Totem Tarot cards. And these are talking about if people could sum you up after meeting you, what would they say that you are like, or who would they say that you are? So we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Page of Swords, and the Seven of Wands. Okay, so the Page of Swords in this deck definitely goes hand in hand with Orangutan, because both of these cards are talking about laughter, they're talking about playfulness, they're talking about not taking things too seriously, right? So of course you know when there's a time and a place to be serious, but I feel like you also know when the time and the place is to have a good time and to not take things too seriously and to just let things kind of roll off of your shoulders. And I feel like that's something that people notice about you right off the bat. I feel like you're really good at being a mediator, you're really good at diffusing situations as well. I feel like others of you, maybe you really love going on your phone as well, or maybe you're also someone who's just incredibly busy. You know, maybe you're always on the go. Others of you, maybe you have a very big TikTok following too. I'm just kind of picking up on that. But going forward, we have Queen of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and Seven of Wands. So the Queen of Pentacles, maybe you have Earth placements in your charts. Remember how I was talking about that you're very grounded and you're very down to earth. You're incredibly humble, but you're also very well put together. Again, maybe you're someone who loves to really take care of yourself. Maybe you love to do yoga, CrossFit, maybe you eat really well, maybe you're a vegan or a vegetarian, or maybe you're someone who really decides to go to spa days, maybe you love to do your nails or your toenails. There's just this energy of you're really taking care of yourself and honoring yourself, and that's something that people really notice right off the bat. But again, you're always on the go. I feel like there's always something else that you're kind of focusing on or that you're having to do. For some of you guys, you'd be an amazing realtor, just because of the fact that you can multitask and you can kind of go all over around. But we also have the Seven of Wands here, so I feel like you're very straightforward. I feel like you're also someone who is willing to fight for whatever you want. You've got to fight for your right to party, and I feel like that's kind of your energy as well. You're just very happy-go-lucky, and that's how people would describe you. So going on to your next few cards, these are your Game of Thrones tarot cards, and these are talking about what else this person or these people would say was their first impression of you. So this doesn't have to be one person in particular. It just could be people in general. But if you were wondering how a specific person, maybe even felt when they first met you, this would be it. So we have the Four of Spears, the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Coins in reverse, the Strength card, and the Four of Swords in reverse. Okay, beautiful. So right off the bat with the Four of Spears and the Eight of Cups with the Eight of Coins in reverse, you know when to walk away from things. Remember how I was saying earlier that you love to close out chapters of your life and step into brand new cycles. You love to wear brand new clothing. You love to upcycle things, you love to recycle, you're someone who's very environmentally friendly. That's what's going on here, right? But I also feel like you understand what is viable in your life, what is healthy in your life, and what is beneficial in your life, and you know when to walk away. You know when to say, hey, it's a no from me, dog, and just kind of go your separate way, right? You know when to withdraw, you know when to say, okay, well, I've put enough work in and I'm going to start working towards my own goals. Again, people see you as someone who is a fighter, someone who is a warrior, someone who's incredibly strong, someone who both embodies divine masculine and divine feminine. You're very, very balanced in that way, and people find that incredibly attractive. For others of you, I feel like there's this energy of androgynous, to where it's almost as if one day you could wear very gender neutral things, one day you could wear very masculine things or very feminine things, but it's almost as if you don't label yourself to just one thing, right? If that makes sense. It's just such a beautiful energy. It's almost like you're very malleable, you're very flexible, you're very go with the flow type of an energy, right? But again, Leo placements with strength here. But with the Four of Swords in reverse, yeah, you barely ever get a time to relax. So I feel like when you pamper yourself or when you get dressed up really nice in the morning, that's what people perceive as your kind of downtime or your alone time or your self-care time. So it could be that people see you as someone who, maybe likes to take the morning to do your makeup and to do your hair or to pick out a nice outfit, because that's something that makes you feel really good, that's a part of your self-care routine, and they find that very attractive. Again, with the Four of Spears, I feel like they see you as someone who would be an incredible incredible partner, someone who they would have a lot of fun on dates with as well. I almost feel like you're that type of person that someone could meet you and it immediately flashes before their eyes like, wow, we could have 5 kids and live in Tuscany and watch the sunset every night on the water. Like, I just feel like there's this energy of people just immediately imagining their life with you and it being like so fast and for such a split second. But it also makes them want to achieve more in their own life as well, seeing how well put together you are upon first meeting you or just kind of walking by you. But again, you're very strong-willed, you're very dedicated, you're very determined. I feel like you're also someone who, I don't want to say that you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, but I feel like maybe the world kind of perceives you as someone who has a mission and you have something to do. And it's almost as if you're saying, okay, well, I could be your friend right now, but that's pretty much all we can do because I'm focused on my career, or I'm focused on my studies, right? And that's another thing people find very attractive about you. And I also feel like you know your worth. You hold yourself in such a high regard that people just assume that you're like, yes, you know your worth, you feel confident, you feel good, you know, and I feel like people feel very inspired by you. So going forward onto your closing messages, these are your enchanted tarot cards, and these are talking about how people would describe you upon first meeting you, or what their first impression would be, what they would tell people. So we have the 10 of Wands, the Tower card, the 7 of Hearts, and the Judgment card. Okay, beautiful. So right off the bat, they see you as someone who has a lot of options, but again, I feel like you're kind of doing your own thing. You have your own responsibilities here. You have your own things that you have to worry about. You have your own kind of burdens that you're trying to balance out, and people find that very beautiful, and I feel like that's something that they would tell others is like, hey, this person's incredibly busy. They're a lot of fun, but I also feel like they have a lot of options. I feel like they also have a lot of opportunities in regards to love, in regards to career, in regards to studies too. I feel like people just see you as someone who has it all, right? I feel like people see you as someone who has it all put together, even though maybe you're watching this and you're like, but I don't. People do see that. I also feel like for some of you guys, you're very curvy or you're a little bit thicker. And I feel like people really love that about you as well. They find that very gorgeous. But going forward, I feel like they also see you as someone who deserves a little bit more praise. And it's so interesting because it's almost like people see you and they want to compliment you, but at the same time, they have to hold themselves back. And I feel like that's something that they would tell people is they would be like, hey, did you see that guy over there with the really cool shoes? Or did you see that girl over there with the crow-shaped hat? Like, there's just this energy of them wanting to talk about you and wanting to admire and appreciate you from afar, which is so interesting because I feel like maybe you have wondered if people have ever felt that way about you in the past, or you've said to yourself, oh, I bet people don't feel that way about me, but they do, right? So let's go on to your charms. Woohoo! So for stack 2, what are the impressions? Headphone users, you can lower the volume while I do this. Okay. So right off the bat, again, they see you as someone who's very talented, very creative, very artistic, someone who is working hard towards their creativity as well. It could be that maybe you're working like a part-time job in order to fund your creative endeavors. Maybe you're someone who, I don't want to say you're having that struggling artist trope, but I feel like that's what you would say to others. And I feel like you have a really good sense of humor. You just have a really comedic sense or aura about you. I wouldn't be surprised if you have the number 6 somewhere in your numerological chart as well. We also have this Sansa music disc. I used to love this as a teenager. And basically, I feel like you're someone who takes your music very seriously. You love music. That's how you connect with the rest of the world too. So it could be, again, that maybe you wear a lot of band tees, or maybe you're someone who always has earbuds in or has headphones on. Maybe you have like AirPods. I don't know, but I feel like people see you as someone who actively likes listening to music. Again, people see you as someone who's very attractive, very sensual. I keep hearing that TikTok, put your head on my shoulder. And I feel like maybe there's this energy of you can be very innocent, but then at the same time, you can turn around to be very naughty as well. So it's almost as if there's that duality at the same time, where it's almost like you're very polite when you're out in public and very polite when you're with someone's parents, but then at the same time, you're a freak in the sheets, right? But you're also someone who's very very patient with this penguin. You like to take your time. You're very meticulous. You're very slow going. Slow and steady wins the race. But you're also incredibly loving. And I feel like you're intuitively loving as well. I feel like you yourself can pick up when someone's had a bad day. You're very intuitive, but also very empathetic at the same time. So you're able to kind of pick people out and say, hey, you know, I really love your sandals, or I really love your nail polish, just to uplift another person. And people find that very beautiful about you. But again, they see you as someone who is transforming, someone who is a beautiful butterfly as well. Maybe people see you as someone who has already been through a glow up and someone who is beautiful. Or I keep hearing for some of you guys that people see you as someone who has always been beautiful, or maybe they see you when they're out on the subway and they're like, wow, they don't know what it's like because they've always been beautiful or attractive or handsome, right? But going forward, we also have your daily fiber. So again, I feel like you take good care of yourself. I feel like you eat very well too. Again, we have another your daily fiber. I didn't realize we had 2 of them here. So again, I feel like maybe you really like incorporate a lot of fiber. It could be maybe you have a really flat stomach and people are like, wow, they poop really good. I don't know, but going forward, we do have Coca-Cola. So maybe you really love Coca-Cola. Maybe you really love like sody pops in general. You love sodas. Now we also have this beautiful flower pin. So again, I feel like you're someone who is very gorgeous on the inside and out. I also feel like you're someone who always smells really good. And that's something that people pick up on immediately when they first kind of get to know you. I also feel like you're someone who's very understanding. You take the time to understand other people's perspectives and point of view. Again, think green. Remember how I was saying earlier that you're environmentally friendly and environmentally conscious? And I love that we have a pin here too. So again, you might have a lanyard or a backpack or a bag, like a purse that you put a lot of pins on. It could also be that maybe you work at a job where you have to have a lot of pins. Like maybe you're like a bud tender or something at a dispensary, and you have a lot of pins on your lanyard. I don't know. Now we also have this, it's for needles, for knitting needles, and I love these because it kind of holds everything together, and I feel like you're kind of the glue of your community, maybe even of your family as well. For some of you guys, I'm getting strong matriarch vibes, or maybe you're someone who is just having to step into a role of authority within your circle, or maybe that's how people perceive you, but people also perceive you as someone who's very fun-loving, very honest, very genuine, very sweet. But also, you know, someone who maybe has had quite a few relationships because of how gorgeous you are. But again, I feel like you like to take your time. You like to make sure that you leave no stone unturned. People see you as a professional, to be completely honest. It could also be that maybe, again, you're on a little bit of a time crunch. So maybe you're just sort of like, yeah, I can get to know you today and we can be friends, but that's kind of it. Like, I don't really have time for love. Maybe that's kind of what you're putting out there, and people find that very attractive. Again, with this, it always reminds me of an amethyst, and I feel like that's kind of your energy, is that you're very protective of those that you love. You're very protective of your own energy and of your own time, because I feel like in the past you've been with people who have taken your kindness for granted, or maybe have taken advantage of your time, and now you've learned how to prioritize yourself. And how awesome is that? I feel like people also see you as someone who, again, is very intuitive, very witchy at the same time, but also maybe someone who has experienced some hardships in the past, right? Maybe people see you as someone who has felt a little bit downtrodden, but you've always picked yourself back up, even in times where you haven't felt as if your wishes were fulfilled with this wishbone piece, right? I keep hearing from the musical Hamilton, and when my prayers to God were met with indifference, I picked up a pen and I wrote my own deliverance. So I feel like that's kind of your energy, is that when you're kind of like, hey, I feel forsaken and I feel like there's nothing else, I'm going to keep pushing myself forward, and I'm not going to let myself get down. I'm not going to let myself just give up, right? It's also reminding me of another tarot card that I have, where it talks about how it's never failure unless you stop trying. And I feel like that's kind of you guys' energy, is that you never stop trying. You're very dedicated, very determined, especially with this horse pendant, right? Now, again, I feel like you're very steadfast. I feel like you're someone who really does pedal to the metal. But I also feel like you're someone who just kind of keeps pushing forward, you know, keeps trudging along very courageously, even in the eye of trials and tribulations. I also feel like maybe for some of you guys, you love to go camping, or you love to go hiking and just kind of go out into the wilderness. For others of you, we also have the elephant here. So I feel like you have a really great memory, or that you're someone who is very compassionate, very loving. Again, with this heart, very loving, incredibly loving, but also very generous too, very compassionate, very understanding, very nurturing. The mom friend, regardless of gender, you could be someone who has a lot of toilet paper, you always have snacks or band-aids. You're just always prepared, right? So going forward, we also have the Fool card and the Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles, you're someone who works very hard. Maybe you're someone who has like a lot of designer Disney bags, or just designer bags in general, or maybe you're someone who like shops really smart, but you look like you have a lot of money because of the way that you wear your clothing as well. And that's something that people pick up on right off the bat. But they also see you as someone who, again, just kind of likes to go wherever the wind takes you. With the Fool, you're very whimsical. I feel like you're someone who is very artsy, and that's something that people really appreciate. So going on to this last card, I also want to say that maybe you have Aries or Taurus in your chart as well. But we also have the Four of Swords. I love that the Four of Swords comes out twice. Oh my goodness. And it's funny because it was reversed too. So again, I feel like you're someone who doesn't get a lot of rest. I feel like you're someone who needs to nap a little bit more. And maybe that's something that people would say, is that you need to slow down, stop and smell the roses a little bit more, right? But definitely let me know what you thought of this stack too. Thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like, and also make sure to leave those comments. I love you guys' comments so much. They make my day, and I love being able to lay in bed and read all of you guys' comments. So definitely make sure that you leave one. But also make sure to hit subscribe if you have not already, and press the little bell icon to be notified every time I upload a brand new reading. I will also be posting all of my links in the description box down below, as always, for my Tumblr, my website, pretty much anything that I have. But yeah, I hope that I have the honor to see you in my next reading. Bye, Stack 2! But I also feel like you're someone who's incredibly grounded and very gifted as well. I feel like you're very talented. I feel like you love to do DIYs. Maybe you're someone who always loves to go on Pinterest and kind of scope out the newest craft or the newest activity to do. It could also be some of you guys that pick this pile. Maybe you are cosplayers. Maybe you are seamstresses. Maybe you are inventors as well, because of course this butterfly does have a lot of cogwheels, almost like a clock. So maybe you guys are clockmakers. Maybe you love to make resin crafts as well. There's just this energy of being incredibly crafty. Maybe some of you guys love vintage clothing, or you love steampunk clothing as well. Spirit keeps showing me someone in particular might have brown high heels, or with big buckles on them. Kind of like vintage looking buckles, and I feel like that's something that people find very gorgeous when you wear them as well. I feel like you might have very beautiful feet. That's very specific for some of you guys. For others of you have very supple, very beautiful looking skin. I feel like you have very little blemishes. And honestly, when people first meet you or see you on the street, they might even see you as someone who's incredibly flawless, someone who just looks so gorgeous and so well put together. They also see you as someone who blooms in your authenticity and in your uniqueness. They see you as someone who is one of a kind, someone who is one of a million as well. Now also, this person, or maybe all these people, maybe you also were inquiring about someone in particular. I feel like people see you as someone who is really blooming into your own, and someone who is very talented as well for that. I feel like you're also someone who is very outspoken, but from time to time, I feel like you almost get a little bit ahead of yourself. And for others of you, you almost have this energy of, I don't want to say immatureness, but it's almost like you're very connected with your inner child. And from time to time, it's almost as if you get so excited about a situation that you could overpromise, or you could overextend yourself to where you maybe shouldn't have, right? And maybe it's just because you're feeling good, so you're like, yeah, let's go do that thing, and let's go do this and this and this, and then later on you kind of regret it. It's that sort of an energy, right? But going forward, I also feel like you're someone who doesn't mind starting at the bottom and working your way up, and that's something that people find very beautiful about you. Now also with the butterfly, I feel like you're someone who is very earthy. I feel like you're someone who is very drawn to nature, very good with animals, very connected with children as well. You might be a teacher, or someone who is a substitute teacher, maybe an art teacher, but I definitely feel like you work very well with others. You work very well with those that have lost their voice as well. Now, there's also this energy too that maybe you love to go biking, maybe you love to go mountain biking, maybe you love to go skateboarding or rollerblading. There's just this energy of being very active for those of you that pick this pile. Maybe you're very thin as well, or someone who's maybe even slim thick. But I just feel like there's this energy of just taking very good care of yourself. I feel like you're also someone that has very good luck too, where it's almost as if when people look at you, they think that things just fell into your lap, but it couldn't be any further from the truth. I feel like everything that you have in your life, you have worked incredibly hard for, and it has been something that I don't want to say it's been a struggle, but it hasn't necessarily been the easiest thing to accomplish, right? But you have, regardless. And that's something that people find very beautiful when they first meet you, or when they kind of pass you by on the street. They think to themselves, wow, I bet that it's always been easy for them, or oh wow, I bet it must be nice to be blah blah blah, or to have enough money to buy that really nice fancy hot dog. I just feel like maybe people would think that when they're walking by you, but at the same time, that's without knowing the struggle that you might have had to go through to get there, right? Now, also going forward, I feel like you're someone who's very sensual. For some of you guys, you might have a player type of an energy. It's not to say that you are a player, but it's just to say that that's kind of how you're perceived by people, is that you're just sort of like interested in having a good time and not necessarily settling down. But you are someone who's very smart and very gifted, though. So going on to your first card, this is your Witch's Familiar rune card, and this is talking about if we could sum up overall the rune of the first impressions that people feel when they meet you, what would it be? So we have Ansu's. Okay, so this is a really, really awesome card because it talks about a divine messenger. And of course, when we think about butterflies as well, they're usually synchronicities or signs from spirit and from our spirit guides. So again, I feel like you're someone who receives a lot of messages from spirit. You receive a lot of signs from the metaphysical in general. Now, I also feel like you're someone who is very lucky or very gifted because you work with the law of attraction very closely. I feel like you're someone who manifests with your heart space. I feel like you really have to sense it. And when you do your visualizations, you love to visualize and really imagine and feel the emotion that goes with it. So let's say that you are manifesting a brand new piece of jewelry. You're going to imagine the feeling of joy and excitement when you finally have this piece of jewelry in your hands. And that's when you get it, right? I feel like it all comes from your heart center. Whenever you do something from your heart chakra, that's what makes it a success. And that's what makes it kind of have the Midas touch, right? Now, for others of you as well, you have a very strong third eye. I just immediately started scratching near where my third eye is as well. So I feel like maybe you guys are kind of going through a dark night of the soul, or you are awakening. For others of you guys, maybe you have done that a long time ago, and maybe you have a very witchy wardrobe. Maybe you wear a lot of black. Maybe you have more black than like any other kind of color as well. Because I feel like maybe it matches with everything. So you're just sort of like, can't go wrong with that. For others of you, I feel like there's this energy of, maybe even having to wear glasses too. But I definitely feel like you receive a lot of messages from spirit. You're very intuitive and you're very spiritually inclined. They also see you, when meeting you or when passing you on the street, as someone who has a lot of wisdom, as someone who is very divine, as someone who is very ethereal. Whenever I see Ansu's, I think about Odin, and I think about the knowledge that he holds. And I think that that's kind of the same energy that we have here for you guys as well, is that you really do have a lot of knowledge to share with the rest of the world, that you have a really awesome perspective on life too, and people really want to just stop and talk with you. I feel like people just really are enamored with your point of view and with your perspective, and it's something that they want to be able to pick your brain on a little bit more, right? It's almost as if people, when they first meet you, think to themselves, I wish I had a little bit more time to get to know this person, right? But going forward, I just feel like people are so excited that they're in your life and that you are in their life. So on to your next card. This is your Druid Animal Oracle card, and this is talking more about people's first impressions on you. So we have Sal. Okay. So this is another beautiful card. Again, I feel like you're someone who would be, the amazing confidant or friend or an amazing teacher as well. I definitely feel like you could take care of a class of children A-okay and perfectly fine. I feel like you have such a sweet disposition about yourself that no matter what situation, I feel like you could always kind of tame the kids that are around. Spirit keeps showing me almost like a dragon tamer. So even the kind of noisiest or loudest of a kid, I feel like you could take greet them, and then they'd immediately like go for a nap, right? Like you'd immediately just hug them and they'd be like, okay, well, I'm happy now. And people really are amazed by that. It could even be that maybe you have like there's children in your family, or maybe like a niece or a nephew or a cousin, or maybe even a younger sibling, and they come to you for comfort, right? And they come to you for advice, they come to you for perspective, and you always kind of welcome them with arms wide open. And I feel like that's something that's kind of noticed when people first meet you, is this overwhelmingly calm aura, this very nurturing aura, as well as if you are ready to take care of people. And they find that very gorgeous. They also see you as someone who's very abundant and also very successful at the same time. They see you as someone who has worked very, very hard for their money, though. They see you as someone who has maybe even gone to school for everything that you've wanted to achieve. Because also with Ansus, I feel like you're someone who's very studious. I feel like you're someone who loves to learn about different, maybe philosophical ideas as well. I just feel like you're someone who loves to have very deep conversations with people, but at the same time, you love to understand other people's points of view too. I feel like you're someone who's very open-minded and open-hearted. You love to share culture with other people too. I feel like you love to understand another person's ideas and other people's aspects. I feel like you would even love to like share holidays with people and just see like what their heritage does and their culture does. And I feel like people really admire that about you upon first meeting you. Now, also with Ansus and with Sal, both of these cards remind me of universal language and the fact that you might be someone who is bilingual or someone that is studying to become bilingual as well. So maybe that's something that's also very beautiful. But for others of you, I feel like maybe you have this very simple attitude about you, is that, yes, you're dressed very beautiful or very unique, but at the same way, I feel like you don't mind dressing down. You don't mind being very simple. You don't mind wearing just sweatpants or leggings, and then just kind of putting your hair up in a messy bun, or just kind of slicking your hair back and going out, right? Like, I feel like there's a simplicity to you, and I feel like that's something that people really love when they pick up on when they first meet you. So going forward onto your next two cards, these are going to be more characteristics, qualities, and traits that people pick up on when they first meet you. So we have number 4, dolphin, and number 12, mountain gorilla. Okay, so right off the bat with number 4, dolphin, the number 4 is talking about stability, security, someone who is very much in their equilibrium as well, someone who's very secure, very comfortable in their own skin. And how beautiful is that? They see you as someone who's incredibly capable as well, someone who can hold their own. You might be someone who has gone to martial arts class, or maybe someone who knows self-defense, but I definitely feel like there's this energy of you being able to protect yourself, and you being able to hold your own, you being able to stick up for yourself. And I feel like people find that very attractive when they first get to know you. For others of you, maybe you really love vintage things in general. Maybe you really love swing dancing, and that's something that people pick up on immediately. Maybe you also love wearing vintage clothing, so maybe old vintage skirts or vintage suits, or vintage like sweater vests. But going forward with dolphin, you're someone who's very joyous, someone who's very funny. You have a good sense of humor. You have a great way of looking at the world, and maybe that's also why you're so good with working with children as well, because of the fact that you are very connected with your inner child, that you are someone who's connected with your imagination and with that more lighthearted point of view. But it says joy, light, flow, and compassion. Again, you're very compassionate, and that extends to every single person that you meet. I also feel like you're the type of person who is perceived as someone who would help a little old lady cross the street, or someone who would help a child kind of get their cat out of a tree. But I definitely feel like you would do anything for another person, even without knowing them on a personal level, and that's something that people find very gorgeous when they first meet you. That's kind of their first thought, is that you're very selfless and very thoughtful, right? But going forward with the number 12 will be the number 3, and it talks about being in equilibrium between the mind, the body, and the spirit, all coming together as one to make a good decision. So again, you have a really good head on your shoulders, but you're also a natural born mediator. So you're someone who is able to get to the nitty gritty and be able to calm things down between everyone. I feel like you're really good at looking at everyone's side of the story and coming to that common denominator, or coming to to that common ground between everyone. You would be an amazing therapist, a great psychologist, you know, someone who would be maybe even a great counselor or social services worker. I just feel like you're someone who really helps a lot of different people or offers a really great perspective. For others of you, I feel like you're a CNA or maybe a doctor. Maybe you work in the medical industry or medical field, or that's what people perceive you to do. Maybe you also wear like scrubs when you go out, because maybe you work so much. Maybe you work night shift and you're just so exhausted that like during the day you don't even put on a regular outfit. Like you just grab some clean scrubs and you put them on, and then you go out, you do your shopping, and then you go home. I don't know. I just feel like there's that sort of an energy. But with Mountain Gorilla, it says reverence, contemplation, community, and inner calm. So again, community is incredibly important to you, and that's something that is picked up on a lot when people first meet you. And the first impression, it would be that you are someone who loves to give to your community as well, is that you're very driven to help other people. Now, also with reverence, I feel like a lot of people really revere you. They really trust you. They really respect you. I feel like you hold a very high level of authority within your community, or that's what is assumed when people first meet you. I feel like people's first impression is that you're someone who is very well respected, that you're someone who is held in a really high regard, very celebrated, you know, someone who's very victorious as well, someone who gets a lot of recognition. Maybe for some of you guys, you're artists, or maybe you do like log cutting, I don't know, like log sculptures or ice sculptures. But I definitely feel like there's this energy of being so creative, but not necessarily like just coming out with it to people and just be like, oh yeah, this is what I do. Like I feel like that's something that people really have to get to know you before you really open up about your art, because it's personal, right? I feel like things that like that for you, I feel like you kind of hold them in, if that makes sense. But going forward with inner calm, I feel like you're someone who brings a lot of peace to every situation as well, because even in the hurricane, you would be in complete peace. You know, it's almost as if you would be the eye itself. You would be the calm in the middle of the storm. And people really respect that about you. Now, also with contemplation, you're someone who loves to ruminate. You're someone who loves to reflect and loves to analyze. And maybe that's something that people would pick up on immediately within seconds of meeting you, because maybe you're someone who kind of nitpicks things. And it doesn't just have to be other people, you know, it could be yourself. It could just be that, you know, maybe you're someone who is very cautious with everything that you do too. Like maybe when you get into a room or when you get onto like a public bus or something, you look for all of the exits and you look for all of the possible escape routes, right? And it's just to stay prepared. It's to stay well planned. And I feel like people really admire that about you, as well as that you stay present in your surroundings. It just makes everyone feel a little bit more comfortable, right? But also I feel like you're very, very much in equilibrium between your divine masculine side and your divine feminine side with this red and blue kind of dynamic. I wouldn't be surprised if those of you that pick this pile maybe even have Gemini somewhere in your chart, sun, moon, or rising. Now, going forward onto more characteristics, qualities, and traits that are picked up on when first meeting you, first impression wise, we have the crafty mead of poetry. So again, you are someone who loves poetry. When I think about Odin, I also think of poetry as well. Just kind of language in general. You might be someone who would be really amazing as a literature teacher too, or someone who would be an incredible English maybe major, or you know, someone who would be an incredible author. Maybe you want to write a book, maybe you want to write a novella, but regardless, I feel like you're someone who is very crafty and people really love that about you. I feel like upon first meeting you, people would see you as someone who is really good with poetry, or maybe someone who has a way with words. Maybe you have a very calm demeanor about you when it comes to speaking. And people really appreciate that. It's almost as if Spirit is showing me a librarian that's reading everyone books. And I feel like that's kind of the energy that you have, or the aura that you have, is that you have this very calming and sweet voice that everyone wants to listen to. Like people just want you to come to their house, tuck them in, and read them bedtime stories. But we also have the known unknown. So I feel like at the same time, you know, you don't worry about things that are beyond your kind of comprehension or your knowledge, or what it is that you know currently. You're not going to stress yourself out about the future, because you know that the universe has your back. You know that whatever is meant to be is going to be. If it's meant to be, it'll be, baby, just let it be. You know, so I definitely feel like there's this energy of knowing that everything happens the way that it's supposed to, and you're not going to stress about it, because divine timing happens when it's supposed to. Now, we also have opportunities. So a lot of people see you as someone who has a lot of opportunities, as someone who who is very well put together in regards to their career as well. So maybe you have a lot of options. Again, with that player type of an energy, maybe people see you as someone who has a lot of opportunities or a lot of options, and you're just sort of like, I'll see who I like, I'll play the field. But we also have the spirit of lightning. So again, maybe you're someone who is very quick-witted too. Maybe you're someone who can be a little bit sassy, but I also feel like you're someone who's very good at making decisions, which I know we talked about with Mountain Gorilla. But I definitely feel like with lightning as well, maybe you can have a little bit of a temper, and maybe that's something that people kind of have a notion of, or a preconceived notion of when they first meet you, is maybe they think that you're someone who has a temper or someone who has a little bit of anger to them. And it's not to say that you do, but I feel like people maybe see you as someone who is quick to anger or has a very quick temper to them. But going forward, maybe they also see you as someone that they wouldn't want to get on your bad side with, right? But going forward onto your next few cards, these are your Animal Totem Tarot cards, and these are talking about if people could sum you up and their first impressions of you, what would they be? So we have the Empress card. Wow. The Six of Chalices and the Death card. Beautiful. Okay, so right off the bat, with the Empress card, you're definitely in your divine feminine energy. You're someone who's nurturing. You're the whole package, right? You're really the whole buffet at this point. You're not even just the burger and the chips. You're the whole buffet. You're all you can eat. And everyone just is really here for it. They're really loving it. But at the same time, I feel like people don't necessarily know if they're on the same level as you as well, because there is this kind of energy of you having a lot of divine knowledge, or you having a lot of knowledge in general. And this person or these people just feeling to themselves or thinking to themselves, I don't know if I even level up to this person, or I don't know if I even equate to this person as well. But they see you as someone who's very kind, very compassionate, very loving. Isn't she lovely? I keep hearing. I just feel like you're so wonderful. People see you as a divine gift. They see you as a blessing from the universe. But also with the Six of Cups, you make people feel at home. You make people feel as if they are homecoming as well. You make everyone feel like a soulmate. You make everyone feel important and special and wanted and loved and heard. You're an incredible active audience. I feel like whenever someone is having a bad day as well, you like to just stop and listen. Again, maybe some of you guys are nail technicians and people like to come to you and just kind of like vent about their day. Maybe even some of you guys work at like Starbucks or something. But going forward, I don't know why I just like that came to my mind, but going forward, with the Six of Cups, I feel like you're someone who's just very personable, very friendly. You might even have Libra somewhere in your chart as well. So I feel like you're a really great conversationalist, but at the same time, I feel like you know when to be kind of quiet. You know when to stop. You know when to take back your energy. You know when to be a little bit aloof as well, right? Now, we also do have Death here, so maybe Scorpio or Capricorn type energies going on here. But Death is talking about transformation. So again, it's almost as if you have bloomed. You have become the beautiful butterfly. You have stepped out of that caterpillar kind of energy, and now you are the beautiful butterfly spreading its wings and making its way around the world. Maybe you're a flight attendant. Maybe you're a jet setter. Maybe you're someone who just likes to travel, right? Maybe you're an urban explorer, but there's just this energy of you reinventing yourself and you putting yourself out there, right? But it's really funny because with that duality that we were talking about earlier, it's almost as if you struggle with it. So there's times where you're like, yes, let's put myself out there. Let's do this. Let's do that. But in the same breath, I feel like there's almost times where you think to yourself, is this too much? Should I be pulling back? Should I not be doing this? And I feel like people really can pick up on that duality as well. I feel like also they see you as someone who is stepping into the more gentler aspects of their personality too. So, maybe that's where that lightning quality is kind of dissipating or going to the wayside. But going on to your next few cards, these are your Game of Thrones tarot cards, and these are talking all about more information on people's first impressions of you. So we have the Seven of Swords in reverse, beautiful, followed by the King of Swords in the upright, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. We also have the Two of Swords in reverse, the Three of Spears, and the Hanged Man. Okay, so the Hanged Man I like to see as Pisces, Aquarius, and sometimes even Sagittarius. Now here's the funny thing, is that I also see the Hanged Man as the Odin card, right? Because obviously obviously when Odin was strung up from the tree, that's, when he was doing all that rumination and all that reflection. So it's really kind of a card of your stagnancy leads to your intelligence and leads to your development as a human being as well, right? So I feel like those of you that have gotten this pile, maybe Odin wants to work with you, or maybe people see you as someone who is esotrue or someone who is a heathen, which, hey, yeah, I'm a heathen too, whoop, whoop. But going forward, I definitely feel like there's this energy, of people really seeing you as putting the time in, putting the work in, putting the effort in order to know what it is that you want as well, in order to know what your divine path and your divine purpose is. And how awesome is that? Again, you might be working very, very closely with Norse gods and goddesses. But with the Seven of Swords in reverse, with the King of Swords, you know how to cut manipulative people out of your life. I do want to mention Ansu's in reverse can be talking about manipulation. It can be talking about manipulating maybe even a situation in order to get to a situation that you want, or a circumstance, or a solution, or an outcome that you desire. And I feel like with the Seven of Swords in reverse, with the King of Swords in the upright, it's talking about the fact that you're not going to deal with that you are only dealing with people who are very truthful and that are forthcoming. It's almost as if you give people the benefit of the doubt up to a certain point, and then when their kind of trial kind of period is over, if they haven't been up to snuff, you're just sort of like, okay, well, I think I'll be better off alone. Do you think you're better off alone? But also with the King of Swords, again, you are a natural born conversationalist. People love to have conversations with you. People love to pick your brain. People love to know what's going on inside your mind as well. With the Two of Spears in reverse, with the Three of Spears in the upright, again, you're a really good decision maker. I feel like you're someone who comes up with kind of ideas very quickly as well, and maybe even solutions to problems very quickly too. And maybe that's something that people have immediately noticed as soon as they kind of meet you, is that you're someone who was born to create solutions for people, or create solutions in general. You're also someone who's very polite, so it could be that you're someone who opens doors for people. You're someone who kind of pulls out chairs, or maybe you say thank you and please, and you're just very sweet. You tip very well, and that's something that people really pick up on immediately as well. But going forward, people just see you as someone who's very knowledgeable and someone who has a very deeper understanding of spirituality. For others of you, I feel like maybe there's this energy of you literally being a spiritual advisor, or you being someone who works with the metaphysical. Maybe you're a yoga instructor as well. Or maybe for others of you, you're someone who likes to take a holistic approach to healing. Maybe for others of you like to work with again, people who maybe have lost their voice, and you love to just kind of help people, right? But going forward onto your closing messages, these are going to be your enchanted tarot cards, and then we will pull you some charms. So these are going to be how people would describe you after meeting you. So we have number 14, Temperance. So this would be Sagittarius. So some of you guys might be Sagittarius or have some Sagittarius placements. We also have the Ace of Wands, the Seven of Swords again. Wow. So again, that sort of deceptive, manipulative vibe of you're not dealing with it. You're very cautious when it comes to who you let into your energy space. And maybe that's why certain people are just sort of like, well, I'll just wait and see if they want to contact me first or approach me first, because, who's to say that I'd even fit into this person's life? Because look at that. We do have the Queen of Wands. She's an entrepreneur. She's someone who knows her worth. She's not going to settle for less either. She's actually, one of those queens who isn't going to put up with any drama, with any kind of mess. And I feel like that's your energy, is that you're someone who comes off as very patient, someone who also comes off as willing to put in the time, willing to put in the work, willing to put in the elbow grease, but also someone who's very passionate, someone who's ready to kind of get this show on the road, right? I feel like you're up for anything. You might even come off as someone who is willing to try anything at least once. And that's something that people find very beautiful. For others of you, I feel like maybe you really love playing video games as well. And that's something that kind of comes to the surface too. But we also do have the Hierophant here. So it could be that you're a little bit traditional. I feel like it's half and half. For some of you guys, you're very, very unconventional. And for others of you, you're very, very traditional, right? So I feel like it's kind of both extremes. Maybe you also ebb and flow between it, to where sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to get married in a beautiful, traditional wedding. But then other times you're like, no, I just want to live a single life and I want to just play the field and I want to go out there and spread my wings. And I feel like that's the kind of duality that we have here with you guys, right? And I feel like people, while you might think that they're a little bit intimidated by this, I feel like they find it very attractive, not gonna lie. So let's go ahead and grab some charms for stack 3. Headphone users, please turn the volume down if it's a little bit loud. And I'm closing my eyes and pulling some charms. First impression of stack 3, first impression of stack 3, first impression of stack 3. First impression of stack 3. Okay, perfect. Okay, so right off the bat, we have a seagull. You're definitely someone who is a great conversationalist, but at the same time, I feel like you're very resilient. I feel like you know how to persist. You know how to keep moving forward. You might literally have a dolphin spirit animal. Look at that. We have a dolphin here and we have a dolphin here. Very, very joyous person. Very connected with your inner child. Very good with money as well. I keep hearing, I don't dance now. I make money moves, right? So maybe that's your energy as well, is that you're really focused on your career, you're really focused on your finances as well. You're very connected with your family life, though. I feel like you might even be very connected with your mother or with your maybe even your grandmother as well. There's just this energy of being very connected with the women in your family. But also with these 3 hearts, I feel like you're someone who maybe even has like 3 really close friends, or maybe 2 other close friends. Like maybe you guys make like this really cute like trio. But I feel like people see you as someone who's very peaceful, though, a mediator, someone who wants to keep everyone calm, make everyone happy. Oh, look at that. So I believe it was pile 2 that we had just the other pit of the wishbone. And it's funny that you guys got the whole wishbone. So you guys literally got the wish. So again, you guys are very lucky. And I feel like that's something that people notice right off the bat. And again, that goes back into that energy of people being like, oh, well, you haven't had to struggle or suffer. And it's like, no, I have, but I just had to work really hard for it, right? Look, we have the onceler. How bad can I be? So again, you're working very hard on your goals. You're working very, very hard on your finances as well. And you're really kind of bettering yourself in regards to your business. It's kind of like you're fulfilling your own wishes as well. And I feel like a lot of you guys are fulfilling your own wishes while being single. And that might be a little bit intimidated for some people. Now, also, you have a lot of self-love here with this rose quartz. So I feel like maybe you're learning how to love yourself a little bit more. You should go and love yourself. Now we also have this apple. So again, maybe some of you guys are a teacher, or maybe you guys are just really focused on your studies right now. But you are very, very loving. I feel like you light up a lot of people's world. Baby, you light up my world like nobody else. The way that you flip your hair gets me overwhelmed. The way you smile at the ground, it ain't hard to tell. You don't know, you don't know you're beautiful, and that's what makes you beautiful. That's a specific message for someone out there. You guys are definitely very beautiful. You light up everyone's world that you come into as well. But I feel like you're a little bit nervous about it. Like, do I actually do that for people? And you do. But again, we do have the Hulk here. So again, maybe people are a little bit worried that you have a little bit of a temper. I like that we have 2 cards, plus the Hulk. That's just kind of talking a little bit about tempers. Now we also have the letter B. So maybe your name starts with the letter B, or your middle name does, or your last name. Or maybe it's just like the letter B, as in like, birch trees. Maybe you live near birch trees. I don't know. But I thought that I'd put that out there. Maybe bumblebees. Maybe you have a tattoo of a bumblebee as well. Or maybe you just have a tattoo of a bee in general. Now going forward, I feel like maybe you guys really love camping. You love going out there. You love kind of getting in touch with nature as well. I feel like you love making sure that there's no loose ends being untied as well. You love to make sure that all your ducks are in a row. You're someone who really plans for the future as well. I feel like you're someone who loves to save money, or someone who loves to kind of put away for a rainy day, but very very vivacious, someone who is very loud and proud and out there, but also someone who brings a lot of joy into other people's lives. You know just what to say to make people laugh, right? But we also do have this Rita Repulsa, but it was downward, facing down. So I feel like maybe this is saying that you used to kind of be your own worst enemy, but now you're kind of getting over that because you're having self-love with this rose quartz here. You know, you're learning where to put your energy as well. But again, you're very intuitive, very spiritually inclined. You know, I feel like you're someone who receives a lot of messages from spirit and a lot of accurate messages at that. So we also have this really beautiful glass kind of blue pebble, I guess would be the best way to put it. So I feel like you guys are very emotionally mature. You know what it is that you want in regards to a relationship as well, but it's almost as if you're not going to lower your worth or lower your standards for someone just to be in a relationship. So that kind of goes back into that energy of, yeah, if you have something good to offer me, let me know. But other than that, I'll just be over here fulfilling my dreams, right? Now also, I feel like you're someone who doesn't mind showing your emotions. You're very sentimental or sensitive, or, you know, someone who likes to feel everything that you experience. You really put the mask down, so to speak, right? You really drop the mask. And I feel like that's something that people really appreciate and very much respect about you. But you also are someone who dreams very big as well. You're very dedicated, very determined. You know, you have a very good pace about you. You're someone who's very passionate. You love to just kind of achieve those goals and ambitions. You might even be someone who sets a lot of resolutions every year, and that's something that people kind of think when they see you, because they see you as someone who, again, is very well put together. So maybe they see you as always getting all your goals accomplished. But again, you know, I feel like you're someone who has, you know, maybe experienced a chain of events that has led you to where you are now. You know, maybe you're someone as well who has had to find out that not everyone is meant to be in your life as well. And maybe that's what has made you more comfortable with kind of playing the field and saying, well, the right person is going to be here for me, you know, when it's time. Because whenever I see this, like, I like to call it an acorn lid. I like to see it as my great grandmother used to say, there's a lid to every pot. And I feel like that's kind of the same energy that we have here, is that you're looking for the lid to your pot, right? You're not going to settle until you find it. But you're also learning your confidence. You're learning your self-worth. And how awesome is that? Now we also have your friends depend on you for solid advice. Yes, you have an incredible perspective. And I love that we were just talking about that earlier too. So let's see what these cards are. So we have the Chariot, the Hermit, and the Eight of Swords. Okay, so Cancer placements or Virgo placements. So again, very analytical. You know, Virgo is kind of like the earth sign that likes to act like a water sign or act like a Cancer. Or at least that's my own experience as having someone who has a lot of earth placement and a lot of Virgo placement. But going forward, you know, with the Hermit and the Chariot, you're going off on your own. You're kind of just doing your own thing, and that's what's going to lead you to victory. But again, with the Eight of Swords, it's almost as if moving forward, you know, it's almost as if you kind of trap yourself into these limiting beliefs, or this idea of, well, the person that I'm going to be with is going to be like this, and this. Like, maybe you're so specific and so unwavering on certain aspects that the universe is like, oh man, you know, like, they really appreciate the fact that you have an actual order and you're putting your order in. But I feel like Spirit is also saying that sometimes, or like from time to time, you can be a little bit stubborn, right? So maybe this person is going to come into your life and they're going to stray from your kind of original ideal. You know, maybe that's something that people pick up on, is that if you don't think that someone has anything good to offer into your life, you just kind of, I don't want to say you ghost them or go quiet on them or just kind of pull back, but it's almost as if you know where to put your energy. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it's a really good thing to know your boundaries and to know where to put your energy. So if anything, Stack 3, this is a very beautiful reading, and people see you as someone who's very, very self-sufficient, someone who can take care of themselves, someone who doesn't need anyone. And how awesome is that? So definitely let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this Stack 3 and if this resonated. Also make sure to hit the like button if you love this reading, and also make sure to hit subscribe if you have not already. Also press the little bell icon to be notified every time I upload a brand new reading. Also, I will be leaving all of the links in the description box down below to my Tumblr, my Etsy, my website, pretty much everything. I have a lot of links down there. Also, my wish list. So if you guys wanted to get me a oracle deck or a tarot deck off of there, I do readings for anyone. That gets me a deck completely free. But I hope that you guys are doing amazing though and staying in good health, taking good care of yourselves. And yeah, I hope that I have the honor to see you in my next reading. Bye, Stack 3! Hello to everyone who chose Stack 4. Let's get right into your reading and see what are people's first impressions of you when they meet you. So right off the bat, I want to start this reading off with a little bit of a preface that this is just going to be people's opinions of you when they're walking past you or when they first meet you. It could be that you guys are both studying and you catch each other's eyes, what this person's ideas about you are going to be, what their opinion is as well, just first impressions in general. So this doesn't have to be actual characteristics, qualities, and traits that you embody every day, but it's just kind of how people perceive you on the outside, right? So it's kind of like an outside looking in sort of a reading where you're going to see how you're perceived to people on the outside. So going forward, without any further ado, let's just dive right into this. So you guys got the largest chunk of clear quartz. I was about to say rose quartz, so maybe some of you guys are practicing self-love. You're learning how to have more of a self-care routine as well. But going forward, I feel like you're someone who is a master manifester. You're someone who immediately, you want it, you got it. And you are just so good at working with the law of attraction in order to bring all of your dreams and goals to fruition. And that's something that people can pick up on almost immediately. You might have a mole or a beauty mark somewhere on your face, maybe even freckles or maybe dimples. There's some sort of defining appearance or quality about you that people find so endearing and so beautiful. And I feel like that's something that is very unique to you and something that they find just absolutely gorgeous. Some of you guys as well maybe have two different colored eyes, or maybe your face isn't symmetrical. Like, you know how one side of your face can be like, maybe a little higher up, or I feel like they find that very beautiful upon meeting you. It's just the stark, maybe the difference as well is that they've never seen a beauty like yours before, right? I also feel like for those of you that pick this pile that you have a very gorgeous profile, a very beautiful nose in general, and that's something that people would talk about. I feel like they love the structure of your nose, especially if it's a little bit broader or if it has a little bit of a curve to it. People just find it so gorgeous because it frames your face so lovely. You also might have really defined cheekbones or just really wonderful facial structures, such as like maybe a wonderful jawline. Maybe you have a really defined jaw and a really defined chin, and people really like that as well. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you just contour really good and you're just sort of like, haha, that's my trick. But I feel like there's just this energy of people really noticing how defined your features are and how defined your face is in general. For others of you, I feel like you have really defined collarbones as well, and that's something really beautiful because maybe you show them off. Maybe you wear like tank tops or wife beaters or dresses, or maybe even off the shoulder tops, but there's just this energy of showing off your collarbones. Maybe some of you guys wear like chokers as well, choker necklaces, maybe even collars with cameos on it. It could also be some of you guys really love like vampire fan fiction or just vampires in general. Maybe you really love horror movies or horror novels, and maybe that's something that also translates into your clothing as well. I feel like you're someone who is always very dressed really nice, but I feel like you're also someone who puts your own spin on things. I feel like when people first kind of meet you or when they're walking past you on the street as well, they can pick up on the fact that you're very warm. And it's really interesting because from time to time, you almost put out this energy to the rest of the world of, I have better things to do, but people can sense underneath that it's just a facade, that you're actually this sweet little cinnamon roll, that you're someone who has such amazing intentions as well, that you're so pure-hearted. And I feel like that's something that people really appreciate about you when they first meet you, right? They also love the fact that you're someone who is very driven, very passionate. I think that especially with all of this yellow and this orange, I think about someone who's very vivacious, someone who knows exactly what it is that they're doing and where it is that they're going as well. You might have a little bit of a one-track mind as well, or maybe be a little bit stubborn, but I also feel like you're very, very gorgeous too. I feel like you might want to be a botanist. For a second, I struggled on that word. Maybe you just want to be a florist, you want to work with flowers, flowers, maybe you want to work with herbs, maybe you're someone who wants to have your own apothecary one day, or maybe you're someone who really loves working with essential oils, maybe you make your own soaps. People see you as someone who's just very talented though, and very, very earthy, very witchy in that regard. Maybe you're an earth witch, maybe you're a kitchen witch as well. There's just this energy of maybe people also perceiving you as the ultimate housemaker, or someone who is a very good cook. People might see you as someone who has a green thumb as well, and someone who maybe keeps a lot of foliage inside of their house. Maybe you also went to college for that. I don't know. For others of you, maybe you wanted to be a biologist, a marine biologist, maybe you wanted to be a zookeeper, but I feel like you work very, very hard for your passions and for your goals. I also feel like you're someone who might wear a lot of tie-dye, or someone who loves very bright clothing, but at the same time, I feel like you also really love that more vintage kind of a goth look as well, or kind of punk rock. For others of you, you might really love like classic rock bands as well, maybe AC/DC, Aerosmith. I feel like maybe others of you as well just really, really love old music in general, and that's something that people would really bond with you on. Now, also, kind of first when people kind of get to know you, or when they first meet you, their first impression of you is that you're someone who is very I don't want to say chivalrous in a way to where you're like pulling out chairs for people, but I feel like you're very polite and you're very proper. It reminds me a lot of Stack 3, to be completely honest. Not gonna lie, if you felt drawn to Stack 3 as well, definitely check that out. So going forward, I also want to say you might have the number 6 or the number 3 within your life path number or within your numerological chart as well. But going on to your first card, this is your Witch's Familiar card, and this is talking all about if we could sum up people's first impression of you into one rune, what would it be? So we have Lagus. Okay, so this is a really beautiful card. Oh my goodness. So right off the bat, seahorses are very, very kind of touchy, right? They're very sensitive, and they're very sensitive to harsh environments as well. So I feel like that's kind of you guys' energy. Maybe people perceive you as someone who's very sensitive, who's very down to earth, very kind of connected with their inner child as well, but also someone who wears their heart on their sleeve, someone who can take things to heart very easily. So maybe people have to watch their words. Maybe people have to watch what they're saying to you, or kind of watch how they're saying things to you. Maybe even people's tones kind of make you feel a little bit teary-eyed, or make you feel a little bit overwhelmed, which I totally understand, right? But going forward, I feel like people see your sensitivities as a superpower and as something so beautiful. They see the fact that you're comfortable with being vulnerable, and they find that very beautiful. For others of you, I feel like there's this energy of maybe you walk with your head kind of tilted down, and that's something that people pick up on very, very fast. And maybe that's something that you're working on as well. Maybe you're working on being more kind of involved with your surroundings, or looking around, or keeping your head up, kind of keeping your head up to where it looks like you have a crown on your head. Make sure that you don't drop that crown. And I feel like that's kind of the energy that you're getting into, and how awesome is that? But I feel like that's something that people pick up on almost immediately. I also feel like you have an almost fairy-like energy about you, very ethereal, very beautiful, but also very cunning, very mischievous at the same time. You might love to prank people, or that's kind of the energy that comes off. I just feel like you're a little bit of a trickster, right? Now also with that fairy type of energy, I feel like you're someone who loves nature, Mother Gaia. You might even have a fish tank somewhere in your house. Maybe you even really love mermaids as well. Some of you guys might really associate yourself with the lost city of Atlantis as well. But going forward, I feel like you are very creative. You're someone who's very imaginative, and you become very fertile with a lot of ideas. It's really funny because I feel like spirit gives you a lot of these ideas as well. And it's a lot of times you think to yourself, are these ideas even viable, or are these something that I can even act on, right? And then you do it, and you put yourself to it, and you apply yourself to whatever these ideas are, and it always turns out amazing, right? Or that's kind of the idea that people assume when they meet you. Now going forward, they also see you as someone who goes with the flow, someone who's very easygoing, someone who's very understanding, someone who tries to give others the benefit of the doubt and tries to walk a mile in another person's shoes. For some of you guys that pick this pile, maybe you really love to volunteer as well. Volunteer your time, your resources, your money. You just really love to give back to the community, right? But you're also very gentle, you're very forthcoming, and you're very understanding that things aren't cut and paste, fixed, right? Or cut and dry, or black and white, right? There is a gray area in between too. And I feel like that's something people find very beautiful about you upon first impressions. Now, going forward onto your next card, this is your Animal Druid Oracle card, and this is talking all about more first impressions. So we have horse, again, very beautiful, very vivacious, very excitable energy, very beautiful hair. I love how even in the cameo, we have very long flowing hair. Even the seahorse in La Goose looks like it has long flowing hair. So you might have long hair yourself. You might have hair extensions. You might even be someone who's trying to grow out your hair really long as well, and people are really taking notice of that. They really, really love the fact that you're someone who styles your natural hair, who takes pride in your hair as well. People really find that very attractive. They also find it very attractive the fact that you're very, very dedicated to your goals and to your aspirations. You know, and it's almost to say that, yeah, you are someone who loves to hang out with people. You love to get to know people. But if you're on a tight time schedule, you're going to literally get to where you need to go. Like, you're not going to stop. You're not going to take any kind of side detours. You're going to immediately go where you need to go. So it's really funny because I feel like even though you have this very go with the flow type of an energy, you're also someone who takes your responsibilities very, very seriously. You're a person of your word, and you're not going to skimp out on someone. You're not going to, you know, say something that you're not going to live up to either. You know, I feel like you're someone who's just very honest, and you like to live up to everything that you put out there. Now, going forward, also with horse, maybe you were born in the year of the horse. Maybe you were someone who was born under the sign of Sagittarius as well. But going forward, I definitely feel like you're someone who just kind of goes wherever the wind takes you. I feel like you're someone who loves to go on adventures. You will try anything at least once, or that's kind of the energy that comes off when people first get to know you. You might be someone who grew up in the plains or somewhere that's a little bit flat or a little bit kind of like prairie, if you will. You know, so maybe you're someone, maybe even that lives there now currently, but I definitely feel like there's this energy of loving to be near water, loving to be near you know, maybe even just flowing resources. Like, you know how they say that the earth has different chakra points? I feel like you notice that. I feel like when you go into certain areas of the world as well, you can pick up on the energy shift. You can pick up on, you know, maybe even just the past energies of a place. I feel like you're incredibly psychic. So maybe that's also something that people notice when they first kind of meet you or get to know you or walk past you, is that you yourself are very divine, right? But you have a wonderful smile. I feel like your smile connects to your eyes as well. So it's almost as if you smile through your eyes to people. Your eyes light up with excitement as well when there's something that you find joy in. And people find that very inspiring too. It's almost as if you make people feel like a kid again. And that's something that they find so, so valuable. Now, going forward onto your next two cards, these are your animal language cards. And these are talking about more characteristics, qualities, and traits on how people perceive you when they first see you or meet you. So we have number 6, Dugong, beautiful, and number 46, Gaia. Okay, I love that we were just talking about you loving Mother Gaia as well, and loving to be at one with nature and with the earth. And look at that. Oh my goodness. So right off the bat with the number 6, again, you're someone who's very generous. You're someone who is very dedicated, very forthcoming. You have a great sense of humor. I always like to see the number 6 as the Robin Williams number, someone who will make sure that someone else has a smile even before yourself, you know, putting yourself on the back burner for another person, being a little bit of a people pleaser. You know, you might be someone who is a comedian and maybe you focus on comedy as a coping mechanism as well. And that's something that people pick up on too. It could even be that maybe you have a little bit of a nervous laugh, or when you feel uncomfortable, you laugh as a way to cope. You know, it could be that you laugh in order to get rid of the nerves or to get rid of the anxiety, and that's something that people pick up on very, very fast. For others of you as well with the number 6, I feel like you're someone who is very generous, very giving. And I feel like you would give the shirt off of your back without any expectations of how to be paid back, or, you know, how to even get the shirt back. I feel like you would just be like, have the shirt, Dan. It's not my shirt anymore. It's yours. You know, but you're so friendly and you're so kind and so just, so fair. And that's something that people really appreciate when they first meet you. So also with Dugong, you know, Dugongs are very gentle. They just kind of float along at the top of the sea. So growing up in Florida, that's all you would hear is make sure that if you're in a boat and you're near the inlets or you're near these areas that have heavy manatee crossings or kind of flow, to make sure to turn off your boat engines and just kind of float along, because these manatees can't fight back. They will just allow the boats to kind of scrape them, right? They're so docile. What are they going to do? So each time, as the boat propellers kind of cut into them or hurt them, obviously they heal from that, but they just kind of keep floating along. They just kind of keep puttering forward. And I feel like that's your energy, right? Is that even when people kind of hurt you or disappoint you or let you down, that you're just sort of like, okay, and you just keep moving forward, and I feel like maybe you give people more chances than they're even than they should have. I feel like maybe that's something that people would notice maybe right off the bat within like maybe a few minutes of talking to you as well, is that you're very understanding and you're very forgiving. I feel like forgiveness is all about the name of the game, but also with Laguz and the fact that we also had horse, I feel like you're finding this duality and you're finding how to be more fair in your own relationships, how to say when enough is enough. But I feel like that's something that you have really struggled with in the past, is finding that line or finding that fine area of saying, hey, this is all that I can take, or hey, you're stepping over my boundaries, right? Because I feel like in the past it was a little bit hard for you to do. Maybe you found yourself kind of sidestepping difficult issues, or maybe that's just kind of how people perceive you, is that you're someone who is non-confrontational. You don't want any conflict. You just want everyone to be friends. You want everyone to get along. But we also have trust, grace, mystery, and humor. Yeah, you have a great sense of humor, especially with the number 6. Again, a natural born comedian. But you're someone who trusts in the universe. Again, Laguz talks about destiny and fate too. So you're definitely someone who understands that things will happen the way that they're supposed to, and that you're not going to try to manipulate a situation in order to get a desired outcome, right? That's just not something that you're going to do. And I feel like that's also something that people really appreciate about you, is that you really are this really gentle, very calm and kind being. But you are someone who's a little bit mysterious at the same time. I feel like people are very intrigued by you. They want to get to know more about you. It's almost as if you leave people hanging, and I don't want to say it's in a bad way, but it's almost as if you talk to people, but you leave them wanting more. You leave them wanting to know more, to know your life story, to know your struggles, to know your trials and tribulations, to know your victories as well. So going on to the number 46, this would be the number 10. It talks about closing out chapters and closing out cycles in order to go on to brand new ones. And I definitely feel like that's something that excites you. You love closing out old chapters. You love going on to brand new adventures and brand new opportunities as well. Now with Gaia, again, you might have Earth in your chart, Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo. So you might be someone who's very grounded, very stable, someone who's very good with their money, very good with their time management. Someone who might even be a little bit of a homebody, or that's kind of how people perceive you. You might be a little bit of an introvert as well. And it's really funny because when it comes to your goals and your dreams and your career, I feel like you're very much an extrovert. But when it comes to everything else, you love to be introverted. You love to be a little bit of a homebody, or that's how people perceive you, right? Now also with Gaia, it says harmony, abundance, wholeness, and forgiveness. Wow, we were literally just talking about that too, about how you're someone who forgives and forgets, and you keep giving people chance after chance after chance, and sometimes that kind of blows up in your face, or sometimes you can be deceived because of that. But I feel like also you understand that that's not a reflection of you, right? It's such a healthy understanding of, well, if someone deceives me, then that's on them, and that's not my problem, right? And I feel like that's another thing that people really find beautiful when they first meet you. It's just your perspective on things. It's so different from the rest of the world. It's almost as if you're a breath of fresh air to everyone that's meeting you, right? It's almost as if they can finally breathe again. But with harmony, again, you're at one with the world, with yourself, with others. It's almost as if you try to be connected with everyone that you meet or that you kind of connect with, right? But we also have abundance and wholeness. So again, I feel like your abundance is very important to you. And the same with your goals and your aspirations. You're very diligent. I feel like you're very dedicated. You're someone who is working very, very hard for every single day. I feel like you give 110% to everything that you do as well. And sometimes you can bite off a little bit more than you can chew. You can take on too many responsibilities, right? So make sure to pace yourself. Yeah, we have tier. Look at that. Conflict, counsel, and justice. So you're learning how to be a little bit more fair with yourself. You're learning how to be a little bit more just. You're learning how to take people to counselor, how to be more comfortable with conflict as well. You're learning how to say to people, hey, you really crossed my boundaries and you really crossed the line doing that, Dan. I don't know if we could be friends anymore, right? Just kind of putting your foot down. But I also feel like when I think about Tyr and I also think of Fenrir, I think about this trade or this understanding of if I do this, then you can do this. Like, you're very, very fair in that regard. I feel like you are all about equal energy change and equal energy exchange rather. But I also feel like you're understanding the people in your life that wanted you to change in order to fit into their life. I keep hearing Drake bells. You want me, you want me, you want me to give you better reasons why you shouldn't leave. You want me to fit into your life, way too good for me. And then the other lyrics are, you don't want me, and then you only want me to change. So I feel like that's kind of what you guys are learning through and growing through as well. And maybe that's kind of the perspective shift that they really love about you, is that you don't go through things, you grow through things, right? You don't understand, you overstand. And I feel like you just have such a beautiful perspective. So going forward, we also have Balder, forgiveness again. Look at that. Forgiveness, mildness, baldness, baldness, kindness, mildness. Maybe you're bald. I don't know. Just gonna put that out there. Maybe, because I said baldness, it just like slipped out. But we do have forgiveness and mildness and kindness. So, even when the rest of the world is doing you dirty, even when the rest of the world is kind of rude to you, I feel like you're someone who still comes out on top. I keep hearing this bottom's gonna be on top. So I feel like you're someone who never lets people get you down, right? Also, with forgiveness and mildness, I feel like even when people have gotten you down, you still approach them with love, with compassion, with understanding, with forgiveness, I also feel like for some of you guys, since I did say bald, maybe some of you guys literally decided to shave your head and like start over brand new. Maybe you guys are literally like embracing that look, and I love it. I'm so here for it, you guys. Maybe there's even this energy of like shaving one side of your head and leaving the other half long as well. I just wanted to like throw that out there because that had to be for a reason that I said baldness. Maybe some of you guys really go to like great lengths to shave your entire body too. Really specific, like Michael Phelps shave, like your entire body. Like maybe you're just like, I'm gonna be so soft, like a little dugong. And I feel like that's something that people really notice as well is how much time you put into yourself, and people really love that. Mindfulness, lightness, and impermanence. Yes, you know that not everything is meant to last forever. You know that it's better to be light. You catch more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar, or you catch more flies with honey. For some of you guys, you might even do sweetening jars as well. For some of you guys, maybe you really love to do, honey jars, just sweetening jars in general, especially when it comes to your career. But you're very mindful about everything that you do. For others, I feel like you're a musician. You might play the flute. You might play like the French horn. I don't know, maybe you play like the snare drum. But you're definitely someone who knows that not everything is meant to last forever, and that's also something that makes you very beautiful. Yes, Scotty, our girl. So ambition and the hunt. Yes, you're definitely someone who is incredibly ambitious. You're someone who is putting your best foot forward every single day, and you're achieving your goals. You are a warrior person. You are someone who, won't back down. I keep hearing the song, I'm not scared of the dark. Maybe some of you guys as well are musicians or singers, or you want to be a performer. But we also have tardiness and lethargy. Okay, so for some of you guys, maybe you procrastinate, or maybe that's the energy that kind of people pick up on when they first kind of get to know you or when they first meet you, is that you take your time with everything, and maybe you kind of procrastinate, especially when it comes to kind of going towards someone where there's a conflict. Maybe you kind of drag your feet. Like maybe you're like, I'm just gonna go over here. I know that I should be telling Stanley that wasn't cash money of him, but I mean, hey, look, there's lasagna over there. Oh, wow, there's a phone store right next door too. Oh, wow, would you look at that? There's a seagull right over there. I've never seen one of them before. I gotta go look, and it's almost as if people when they first get to know you or when they first meet you, their first impression of you is that you just don't like conflict and you will do whatever it takes to avoid it. It's not a bad thing, but I feel like that's just kind of what people's preconceived notions are of you. It could even be that maybe you procrastinate a little, maybe if you work in like an office setting or something, maybe your coworkers notice that about you. I don't know. It's not for everyone, but I feel like maybe that's for like a select few of you guys. And if you feel like that's not for you, don't take that. Don't internalize that. But for some of you guys, maybe you're like, yeah, I procrastinate. That's for you. Which I totally understand, right? I feel like everyone is having a human experience. We all can like recognize these characteristics in ourselves, right? So going forward, these are going to be your animal totem tarot cards, and these are talking about if people could sum you up into 4 cards, what would they be? So with their first impression. So we have the 9 of Cups, the 3 of Pentacles, the 2 of Pentacles, and the 3 of Swords. Yeah, you've been heartbroken before, but you remember. But you also forgive and forget. It's almost... But here's the thing is, you forgive and forget, but at the same time, it kind of lives on. I feel like you don't bring it to the surface, again, because you want to avoid the conflict. So instead, you focus on your career, you focus on other things to keep you distracted. You focus on your own happiness and your own self-fulfillment, which people find very beautiful and find very incredible about you. The fact that you are very self-sufficient, the fact that you can take care of yourselves. But I feel like a lot of people also understand that it hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies and lollipops for you on the spiritual journey, right? And I feel like that's something that people would really talk to you about in greater detail, is the fact that you're finding your balance and you're finding your equilibrium, and you're finding your boundaries as well. You're really starting to speak up for yourself and say, hey, don't treat me so badly, or don't constantly step on me and expect me to be okay with it. My name isn't doormat. That's not me. Sorry, that's a no for me, dog. But with the 3 of Swords, though, you're definitely someone who has experienced your fair share of storms, but you're finally coming out of it and you're stepping towards the sunlight, right? Other people would also say that you're a very hard worker, but again, I feel like you're a little bit lackadaisical from time to time, where it's almost as if you set these really high goals for yourself and these high expectations. And I don't want to say that people view you as someone who sets yourself up to fail, but I feel like when you pile so many different things onto your plate at once, it tends to be that way. It's not that you fail, but it's almost this energy of you struggle, right? And the best part is that you always achieve whatever it is that you need to, but it's almost as if when people meet you, they notice that you're struggling with so many different responsibilities, and it's almost as if they want to say to you, like, simplify it, like, work smarter and not harder, right? Because maybe you guys also, with giving 110%, maybe you give a little bit too much energy into certain fields of things that you do as well, or into certain individuals that you shouldn't. And maybe that's something as well that people would really, want to tell you about, especially when it comes to first impressions. So going forward, these are going to be more first impressions on how people view you when they first meet you. So we have the King of Coins, the King of Spears, the 2 of Swords, the Tower card in reverse, and the Justice card in reverse. Yeah, okay. So you're definitely finding what is right, what is just, what is correct for you, but you're really struggling with it, right? But I feel like it has taken a lot to get to this point, right? Especially with the Tower in reverse. It has taken a lot of deliberation time. It wasn't something that was easy, but it was something that you had to push yourself through. Now with the 2 of Swords, though, you can be a little bit indecisive. Now you make really great decisions for yourself because you have a great head on your shoulders, but at the same time, I feel like before you do that, you stay in this perched energy where you just stay a little stagnant, where it's almost as if you put everything on hold until you can figure out this one aspect of your life, right? So let's say that you are in a relationship. It's almost as if you will put everything else in your life on hold in order to hyper focus on that, right? And this is only for a select few of you guys, but I did want to mention it for first impressions, is that some people could see you as being as someone who is a little bit at a standstill, or someone who has a little bit of a hard time making these decisions, even though you're so mature and you have a good head on your shoulders and you are someone who makes great decisions. You second guess yourself, right? And that's something that comes through very, very clear with these first impression cards. Now, also, you could be, again, someone who has Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Aries, maybe even Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, Leo, any of these signs. Now, also with the King of Coins and the King of Spears, with the King of Coins, we see him and we think about how in the show, Littlefinger, and in the book, he really raised himself into the higher echelons of society. There we go. From someone who was originally born into poverty and born into the lower circles, he raised himself into royalty. He raised himself into the master of coin. And I feel like that's you guys' energy as well, is that you have literally risen up from the ashes like a phoenix. You're a phoenix rising, right? But through this having to rise up and through having to keep pushing yourself forward, I feel like there also came this energy of second guessing yourself or worrying, am I making the right decision or am I doing the right thing? But I feel like when you don't think about it so much and when you just do it, when you throw caution to the wind with that horse card and just kind of apply yourself, that's when things turn out amazing. I feel like that's when your greatest abundance comes, right? When you don't overthink things. But we do have the King of Spears here. So the King of Coins and the King of Spears reminds me of someone who takes their time when they plan. It reminds me of someone who is very meticulous when they come up with a game plan as well. And maybe that's your energy, right? Maybe you're also a little bit stoic, but I feel like you have a really kind heart to you, right? When we think about Ned Stark, we think about someone who was the ultimate dad, someone who was so kind and so brave and courageous. And I feel like that's your energy, is that even when the going gets tough, you get even tougher. I feel like when people go low, you go high. And I really I love this energy for you guys, right? But I feel like you're also just learning how to have better boundaries. You're learning how to stick up for yourself a little bit more. When we think about both of these characters, they weren't necessarily the most forthcoming or the most outright with the way that they would portray their feelings being hurt. I mean, look at Ned Stark. Look at what happened to him in the first few episodes. He was literally beheaded for taking on a role that he thought he was doing a good job at, right? Literally betrayed. Look at the King of Coins. Look at Littlefinger, he was also killed as well, after a long time of, kind of manipulating things behind the scenes and not necessarily doing things upright. So I feel like there's a lot of things that go on underneath the surface, or, things that kind of go on behind the scenes. Like, you're very, very analytical, right? But I feel like that's how people kind of perceive you. So going forward, I also want to say that maybe you're someone who, is very financially comfortable or getting to this point as well. And that's something that people notice right off the bat. Or maybe that's just kind of the appearance that you give off as well. I feel like you wear a lot of earthy tones, a lot of browns, a lot of dark blues, a lot of dark greens, maybe even a lot of olive color as well, a lot of olive tones. But going forward onto your last few cards, these are your Enchanted Tarot cards, and these will be your closing messages of how people would describe you to others upon first meeting you. This is going to be also based on what their first impression is. So we have the Strength card. We'll also pull some charms in a second here. So we have the Strength card, the Four of Hearts, the Princess of Swords, the Hanged Man, and the Four of Pentacles. Okay, beautiful. So right off the bat, they see you as someone who's very strong. Just people in general, when they first meet you or when they first pass you by on the subway, again, they feel like you have an incredible backstory. They feel like you have a large story to tell. Some of you guys might also have chronic illness or disabilities that you also kind of push forward with every single day, and that's something that people find very admirable about you as well. But going forward, we also have the Four of Hearts. I feel like you don't take things too seriously as well. But here's the interesting thing, is that we have two cards, the Four of Hearts and the Four of Pentacles talks about, not letting go of things, holding on to things, but at the same time also releasing. So again, I feel like you're learning how to have this equal give and take. You're learning how to only harness what is good for you and then to leave the rest behind. You're learning how to not hold on to the pain or the hurt associated with other people as well. And you're learning how to just kind of of speak up to people. So remember how I was saying with these two characters, it's all kind of passive and kind of behind the scenes. You're learning how to become more assertive for yourself. You're learning how to at least like speak up for yourself as well. And that's something that people would notice upon first impression of you. People would also notice that you're an incredible planner, that you're someone who is, you know, very, very, very good at scheduling as well. You're incredibly intelligent, but you're also someone, again, who's very meticulous, very focused. I feel like you're someone who takes your time with everything that you do. Again, you might be really good with saving up money as well. And I also feel like maybe you're a collector. Maybe you collect like different items. Maybe you have like a Rugrats collection or something. Or maybe like a vintage collection of like those teardrop bottles. I don't know. There's just something that you collect that people find very interesting. Maybe you even collect like old vintage Barbies. But going forward, let's go on to your charms. So headphone users, please turn this down if it's a little too loud. So stack 4, let's go ahead and grab some messages for stack 4. How do people perceive stack 4, and what are their first impressions of stack 4 upon meeting them? Stack 4. Okay. Lots of charms here. So I like to just really quick kind of divide the cards up. So we didn't get a whole bunch of tarot cards, which is really interesting. We mainly just got charms. So right off the bat, we have this blind mag card. So I feel like maybe some of you guys really love opera. You love Sarah Brightman. You love, I was going to say Panic at the Disco. You love Phantom of the Opera. There we go. Maybe you're also Panic at the Disco fans. But you're definitely someone who's very protective. I feel like you really love to protect others as well. You just have a protective energy in general. For others of you, maybe you have like a Korean or Japanese background as well. Maybe you practice the Shinto religion too. Just wanted to put that out there. Now we also have 2 dolphins. I believe stack 2 also had that. So if you felt drawn to stack 2, definitely go watch that. But I feel like people see you as someone who is looking for your soulmate, looking for your twin flame, looking for that person to spend forever with, right? Now we have the letter E. So it could be that maybe your first name, last name, middle initial starts with the letter E. We also have L. So maybe your first, last, or middle initial starts with L. These could be your initials, E-L. Maybe your name is L. Maybe your name is Lee. Maybe your name starts with a le at the end. I don't know. But going forward, I also feel like you're someone who's very balanced. You're someone who's very intuitive. I also feel like with this coiled snake that you're someone who, again, likes to stay in that perched energy. You like to take your time. You like to stay very meticulous with things. But you also have a lot of good luck and good fortune. You know, I feel like you're someone who is very lucky, but that comes from the ideas that you get. Again, I feel like Spirit gives you a lot of different ideas and a lot of creativity. But we also have the Citizenship Award. So you're a great citizen. You have an amazing heart to you. How beautiful is that? You know, and that's something that people would really recognize about you is how beautiful your heart is. You're so pure-hearted. You're so kind. You're so pure and gentle and so soft, right? Now we also have this really pretty belt buckle. And it's really funny because it kind of matches this cameo as well. So maybe you have jewelry that also looks like this. Maybe you love to wear belt buckles. Maybe you're someone who just has like vintage clothing. I feel like you're someone who loves to get back to basics. I feel like you're a little bit of a wild card from time to time. Look at that. You can't make that up. Look at it. We have 2 cameos. Oh, that's so interesting. So maybe you literally have a cameo. It could also be that, you know, maybe this person sees you as like someone who could be a model, or just people in general see you as someone who could be a model. For some of you guys, I feel like there's someone in specific that maybe you like watched this video for because you were like, I want to know what their first impression of me was. They saw you as a model, right? You're definitely someone who's very environmentally friendly, environmentally conscious. You might be someone who, you know, really likes to recycle, or that's just kind of the first impression that people have about you. You might also be in theater because whenever I see this leg, I think of break a leg or good luck. We also have Coca-Cola. So I feel like for some of you guys, you know, maybe you really love to drink soda, but for others, I feel like maybe you've kind of given that up and maybe you drink like alternatives. Like maybe you have like a soda stream or whatever that is where you can make your own carbonated beverages, or maybe you really like those crystal bottles where you can put in like the fruit and do like a fruit infusion. But going forward, again, you're very meticulous. Slow and steady wins the race with the tortoise. With Geek here, I feel like you're someone who loves webcomics, comics, anime, manga. I don't know, just name it, and I feel like you are a total geek. I feel like also with geek that when you love a hobby, you're going to learn everything about it under the sun, and no one's going to stop you, right? But you're also very traditional at the same time with certain things, and I feel like that's something that people would find very lovely about you. But I feel like you're also someone who's very connected with your heritage and with your culture. Maybe you're very connected with your roots as well. Maybe you're very connected with, maybe you have a I was gonna say like a European background as well. But I feel like for some of you guys, maybe it is Singapore or Asia. I just feel like there's this energy of, just having a very, very diverse culture and a very diverse background. And how beautiful is that? Now, we do have Big Ben here too. So maybe for some of you guys, you're in London, or maybe that's going to resonate like you're going to travel to London, or maybe you have an accent. Maybe for some of you guys as well, you really, really love dinosaurs, and you wanted to be a paleontologist, or maybe you like have a lot of dinosaur merch. I don't know, maybe you have like a dinosaur shaped purse or something. But we also have this butterfly. So again, I feel like you've been through a lot of trials and transformations. You've been through a metamorphosis as well, and you're feeling really good. Yeah, you're focusing on your career, you're focusing on your business. We also have this dime here, so I really feel like you're focused on your money, you're focused on maybe even your financial freedom as well. But we also have this basketball, so I feel like you really love sports, or maybe that's kind of the appearance or what people would associate you with. For a lot of you, look at that. We have a shark tooth. So maybe, again, you are really close to the water. Maybe you're someone who is very resilient as well. You just keep persisting, keep moving forward. Again, slow and steady wins the race. I love that we have two turtles. You're very creative as well. Very, very, very resilient, especially with this chicken here. I always see chickens as being someone who is very resilient, someone who doesn't mind getting up, after continuously being knocked down or continuously being told, well, your goals will never reach fruition. You know better. Now, again, we have another ladybug. So I feel like you really have a lot of good luck and a lot of good fortune in your life, or that's kind of the appearance. But I also feel like people know not to judge a book by its cover. Maybe looks can be deceiving. Maybe people really understand that you really have been through a little bit of trauma, or you have been through a little bit of an upheaval in order to get what it is that you want. You might even work in an office setting as well, but I feel like you're very well put together. Again, you're very sensitive, sentimental, you show your emotions, you're very forthcoming with them, you're very creative and very crafty. I feel like your friends hold you in a really high regard as well. You're a hopeless romantic with this rose here. It could also be that you really love flowers, you love to stop and smell the roses. You're someone who lights up the lives of a lot of people, though. We also have this baby pin, so maybe for some of you guys, you were called like a crybaby, or we're just told like, oh, don't be such a baby. But honestly, your sensitivities are such a gift and such a superpower to us all. But we also have this button here, so I feel like you like to make sure that no loose ends go untied, or that you have no unfinished business, right? Especially with this needle holder here. I feel like you love to make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page as well, going into that mediator type energy. Now, we also have this flamingo, again, break a leg. But I also see this as someone who's very balanced, someone who doesn't mind just kind of sticking things out and kind of really persisting going forward. Now, we also have the frog as well, transformation, metamorphosis. I love all of the signs and synchronicities of transformation. You might see 555 a lot as well, or you might have a life path number 5, or maybe you also have it in your numerological chart in general. But going forward, we also have this pearl. So I feel like you're someone who really transmutates hardships into blessings and into beauty. Again, I feel like you're someone who's very vivacious, very vibrant, very bright. I feel like you're someone who likes to go wherever the wind might take them. Now, also with the orange, I feel like you're someone who has a really wonderful laugh too. I feel like you have a very contagious laugh, a very contagious smile. You're very good with money. You're someone who eats very good as well, or that's just kind of the appearance. Maybe you take really good care of your body in general, and that's something that people pick up on. Now, again, you're also a people pleaser. I feel like you like to shoulder other people's burdens or other people's responsibilities on your back, and that's something that people pick up on very, very easily. But we also have the stitch counter. So again, I feel like you're someone who also counts your blessings. You're very, very grateful for all that you have in your life, but you're also someone who plants the seeds of intention. You work very closely with the law of attraction, and you keep a very positive state of mind in order to make sure that it comes to fruition. Now, for your fortune cookie, it says your ability to connect with others will always be your greatest strength. Yes, and that's what we were talking about earlier, about how personable you are and how you like to have that connection with others. Now, going on to your kind of tarot cards, for your first card, we have the Three of Chalices. People see you as that best friend type, as that closest confidant that they can have, someone that they can rely on for anything. They can call you at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and you will always answer. You'll always call back as well. They see you as someone who is all about camaraderie and someone who is just a bucket of fun to be around, right? You're just a barrel of fun. But we also have the Nine of Swords. So you're a worrywart, right? You are someone who might have a little bit of insomnia or restless nights, sleepless nights. Again, I feel like that just kind of comes from the fact that maybe you've allowed the wrong people in your life for too long, or, maybe there's just this energy of second guessing yourself. So definitely let me know if you enjoyed this stack 4. Let me know in the comments down below if this resonated. Also, make sure to hit the like button if you love this reading. Also, make sure to hit subscribe if you have not already, and press the little bell icon to be notified every time I upload a brand new reading. And I will leave all of my links in the description box down below, to my Etsy, to my Tumblr, to my website. Pretty much all of my links will be down there. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that I have the opportunity and the honor to see you in my next reading, stack 4. And I hope to see you soon. Bye!